Sorry about that. How is everyone doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well. I don't
I'm
know a whole
doing
lot
fine.
about this particular subject, so I'm excited to learn about it.
Oh, everyone, just like when we talk about the Orville, everyone is invited. And if they're not familiar, maybe they'll walk away knowing a little bit more. And any input is obviously extremely welcomed. I'd like to hear several opinions, not just my own. I don't like echo chambers too well. They're not very popular and they're not very fun. Resolute Germ, welcome. And Anti-Derivative Jill, this is Pop Culture Curator. I'm going to be hosting the stream on alien makeup design from various TV shows over the years. I know over certain streams lately, we've kind of hinted on, talked about the variety of different makeup on TV, on Star Trek and different shows like that, the Orville. And we kind of like touched on it lightly. I want to go a little more in depth. I'm not an expert by any means. It's like I said, it's just my opinion. And everybody's welcome to interrupt. Give me your opinions at any time. And I want to make sure, by the way, that if you guys want to, I'll be showing some stills of examples, and I want to make sure that you guys are able to do that as well. Let's see. I'm going to make you moderators. That way, if there's anything you want to post, Gabriel Random Thoughts says he'll be up soon. Let me add him as a. And Resolute, if you'd like to post something in the chat, I'll make you a wrench. That way, if there's anything you want to share, any of you want to share screen, I'll be glad to post it. That's what actually what I'm hoping for. Is anything you guys have that may add to the debate, or if you have ideas, if you have any suggestions, and say, hey, here's something really good I want to point out. Okay, now you guys are all moderators, so at any time if you want to share your screens, let me know.
Okay,
So
sounds fun.
Yeah.
great.
You,
Like I said,
you can do that through StreamYards too.
yes, I'm still learning my StreamYards, and especially because I seriously have not done enough live streams. This is my first one in several months. So I'm going to try to do one at least once a week now, or if not more often than that, now that I've settled into my new location.
Sounds
So
good.
what I want to do is, like I said, I'm not an expert with makeup design, but I enjoy it. I enjoy looking at it, and I'm a huge fan of it. Ever since I was a kid, I used to buy a magazine called Famous Monsters of Filmland, and it used to cover classic alien design, monster design from like the old Universal horror movies, like Creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein, Dracula, things like that. And I've watched makeup sort of evolve over the years. And I know there's a difference between Hollywood makeup and television makeup. Hollywood tends to have a larger budget. So my topic today will mostly stick to. Sorry, I had to turn off the notifications on my phone. My topic today about the alien makeup, it will mostly stick to TV shows for now. We can always talk about, if you guys want to talk about movies, alien makeup that and monster creature makeup like that. That's always fine too. I just don't compare it to television makeup because I know the budget is on a completely different level.
Yeah.
How,
No problem.
however, I know there's makeup. I'll give you an example, like Frankenstein, the Boris Karloff design from Universal Studios, Frankenstein from 1933. For example, I'm going to see if I can start pulling up these here. Now, I'm going to be a
Oh,
little slow.
sure.
I'll be a little slow at first here, people. So help
It's all
me
right.
out.
Comparing here, Frankenstein with what?
Okay.
Oh, I see Bordis.
Yes, I do. I do have Borders here. Where's my other folder here? Makeup stills, but I also have. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Artists. I had a folder here on what I wanted
Wow,
to do
you have a
first.
whole lot
I
of
do, but
images. That's wonderful.
there it is. Here we go. Okay, this is what I wanted to cover first. Is these are I want to give homage to some of the original creature and makeup designs, and let me know if this works. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Not yet. I can see your folder and the images within the folder.
Then I need to share. Oh, I apologize for the delay, everybody. Window. Here it is. It's kind of a smaller picture. I wish I could have gotten a larger example, but this is a man known as Jack Pierce. He did the original. This is him working on the Wolfman. You guys can see this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is him working on the Wolfman. He's one. I mean, he's one of my earliest influences. Like I said, he did the original Boris Karloff Frankenstein. He did the Wolfman. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can figure out a way of simplifying this here. And
Yeah, if you double click on the image, it should open in Windows Photo Viewer, which should let you zoom in.
oh, when I can. You're totally right. I can zoom in, which I will do. There we go. It's going to be a little pixelated, but it shows. And share screen and window. This is another picture of Jack Pierce working on Boris Karloff as the creature makeup effects. The reason why I'm bringing this up is these are pictures from the 1930s. So back then they actually put clay on their faces. For example, in order to make Boris Karloff's eyes to look heavy, like he was half awake or half dead, they put clay on top of his eyelids. So when you watch the movie, you can see that he only has his eyes partially open. And I know the makeup was very primitive at the time and very heavy, and it was hot under those studio lights. And I know makeup has also evolved over the years. So what I'm comparing, even though this was made for theatrical, I want to compare that. I think that modern day makeup, even for TV shows, should be at least as good, if not superior to this, because this is the 1930s. So even though this man is fantastic, very creative and original,
Yes.
and his designs have influenced many over the years. I think things like this, and there's still originality out there and creativity that can be done.
Well,
All right,
there's definitely has to be a reason why people don't put clay on their faces anymore.
right. Well, now we have latex
They
has
have
completely changed since then.
right
I gotta
latex,
silence.
silicone, foam.
Okay, and then here's another one of him. I'm gonna share here.
Hello in the chat to Son of a Red Shirt and Sir Jacob. Son of a Red Shirt. There's a link in the chat there if you would like to join us. I know
Hello,
you know
son
a
of a
ton
red
about
shirt.
movies. I
Here's
know you
another
know a
Jack.
ton about movies, Son of a Red Shirt.
I need to also watch the back room in case anybody shows up too. So if anybody shows up, let me know. I don't want to ignore anybody.
Okay.
Here, another shot of Jack.
If I see them, you might be the only one who could see them.
Well, right now I'm looking at the pictures that I'm sharing, so I'm not looking at the main chat. So if you guys notice anybody, yeah, I appreciate it.
You'll have to say something in the private chat to get noticed.
Okay, and I'll keep an eye on that. If I hear a pop, usually there's like a pop if somebody shows up in the private chat. But this is, get back to my image here. This is Boris Karloff with Jack Pierce as the mummy makeup, and which I think was extremely influential and extremely well done. And I still to this day have yet to see a better mummy makeup. This reason, looking at this image here, is the reason why I was so heavily disappointed with the Brendan Fraser version. I think the mummy can still be scary if done right. I don't think it should have been turned into an action comedy. But once again, that's my opinion.
That movie, but that's okay. Yeah,
That's all right. And it's a completely different generation.
Right.
Jill, have you ever seen a mummy movie that was taken seriously, where they're actually supposed to be scary?
Well, I did like that movie, that mummy movie in particular, but
You're talking about the one with Brendan Fraser?
Yeah.
That wasn't a horror movie.
What?
Did you consider it scary, Jill?
No. Well, a little bit, but not really.
Be.
No, it wasn't supposed to be funny. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be particularly scary. It was a little bit. It was a little creepy, but not exactly scary.
Right. So I'm wondering have you ever seen a mummy movie where it's taken seriously and he's supposed to be scary?
Well, I suppose you're saying this one was.
Well, they've made several over the years. The Mummy that you saw, the Brendan Fraser movie, is the only one that was taken as a comedy.
Right.
This still here is from Universal Studios. They made a few mummy movies, and then also Hammer Horror made some.
Be backstage.
Yes, Gorilla is backstage.
And
he wants to join us, and he wants to talk about mummy movies.
Oops. Are you still there? I accidentally removed you. Come on back in, Gorilla. I was trying to click on something else and I accidentally removed you. Come on back in and I'll let you in. I apologize for that. He finally got here and I accidentally click on him to remove him. Son of a red shirt, Sir Jacob, welcome to the stream. I appreciate it. I'm really sorry, Gorilla. Are you there? I just heard a boop. There you are. Add a stream. Got it. Finally. All right. Welcome, Gorilla's Random Thoughts.
Yeah,
Good
hey
to
there.
see you. We were
Yeah.
just covering makeup, and I'm covering one of the classic artists, Jack Pierce, who used to work for Universal Studios. I'm showing some of his original designs of the Frankenstein, the Mummy on Boris Karloff.
Okay.
I was explaining how I liked this is when the Mummy was done creepy and scary, and now they've turned it into a joke these days, which I think is very detrimental to the IP.
Oh, you don't
Because
like
especially-
sparkling mummies?
No, or ones that you can laugh at, or that have special effects and superpowers. No, not really.
No, we always give the crap about the sparkling vampires from Twilight.
Well, what's interesting is that I understand that there's a big fan base for the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, and I understand they made a lot of money. But I think because of those, that's the reason why Universal is having trouble bringing this stuff back, because now people don't take it seriously anymore. People don't see these things as scary; they see them as funny now, and I think Universal did that to themselves. But I digress. That's a whole different subject. The Mummy movie was fun and it was popcorn, a popcorn summer flick, but it was done to the detriment of a very, very good monster, classic monster horror. But like I said, once again, at any time you guys are welcome to disagree or interrupt.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
Well, I know when you were talking about Babylon 5 on my channel there. That's how this whole thing, that's how some of this came up here was you said you didn't like the makeup on Babylon 5.
Well, some of the makeup. I'm going to be showing different examples from different series of what I consider good and or bad.
Okay.
It's not necessarily good or bad makeup, but it's what I'm mostly covering is lack of imagination, where I think that it gets repetitive and there's just not that much of a variety.
Well, I think some of the problem is they get these low budgets. So do we concentrate on the writers and like the settings, or do we concentrate on like the writing and the makeup and screw the setting? You got to pick and choose what you got to concentrate on. What do you think would make the best use of the stuff?
Well,
the budget they have.
I understand they have a limited budget to work with, and I do appreciate that. That's the reason why I'm glad you mentioned that. Is I brought that up earlier. That's the reason why I'm not comparing television makeup to theatrical makeup, because I know they have more money for the theatrical stuff. But for TV, here's the reason I'll put up front. The reason why I think there's a lack of variety in alien makeup, and it's usually based on the show, the series, or the makeup artist. For example, Star Trek, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise were all done by one person. And I'm going to share that picture now.
Yeah, and that saved them a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing up part of it.
Michael Westmore. I
Michael
do know about
Westmore.
that.
Here he is. And now let me share this one, because I am covering everybody, and I do like Michael Westmore, so it's not to knock him himself.
Yeah, I like him too. I mean, he basically just had to follow Gene's one rule, where you had to make sure that the eyes and the mouth were clear, and that
Yes.
everything else was fair game for Michael. Mhm.
And what I give him credit for is even with the makeup, and this is in stark comparison to the new Star Trek, The Discovery, is with Michael Westmore, they could articulate their eyes and their mouths. When their mouth moved, the makeup was not like a stiff mask, and you could see lips moving underneath.
Yes, and that
But-
was Gene Roddenberry's directive.
Exactly, which they seem to have forgotten on Discovery, which I'll show examples.
Oh,
But I
yes,
also
they
have-
did.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
Michael
show-
Westmore had nothing to do with New Trek.
Oh, I completely agree. And does it show, right?
Yes.
And okay, I'm looking for I have some. I know.
In fact, they went. Discovery went out of their way to make the Klingons unintelligible. And not just with the mask, but also making them talk like they have marbles in their mouths.
What show was that?
That or
Star Trek Discovery.
Oh yeah, just go. I want to stay away from Discovery. That's a whole new. That's a stream and a half itself. That was a shitty show.
Well,
Yes, they absolutely ruined the Klingons. For
right.
sure.
Yeah.
It's but they also here it is. I found the picture that I wanted to show. All right, now let me share the screen. This is what we're all talking about right here. Here's an example. I'm going to make it larger. Oops, I'll go to view. Zoom in. All right, this is one of the aliens from Star Trek Discovery, right?
Oh yeah, that's Sulu, who is Kelpian.
Saru.
Oh, Saru,
Yeah.
not Sulu, Saru from
Okay.
he's a Kelpian.
Right. Now, what's odd about this is Discovery actually spends a lot on makeup. So they should have no reason to make bad decisions. Now, as far as the creativity, the design, I'm not a fan of the appearance of it. But what struck me immediately when I first tried, by the way, I only got through half of the first episode. But the first thing that struck me with this character was he could not articulate his mouth. The whole mask is like a stiff, solid piece, and you can see his mouth moving underneath. It's extremely terrible.
And Doug Jones, I believe the actor's name is.
It is
an
Doug
absolutely
Jones.
wonderful actor, and they completely, just made it impossible for him to emote with this design.
Which I don't understand because we've had.
That was half its purpose.
Well,
I
not only
believe.
that though, if you watch this show Discovery, the first thing I thought is okay, the face is cheaply done. So I took a close look at the hands, and whenever they show his hands, you could tell it looks like he's wearing cheap gloves. When he closes his hands into a fist, you can even see the wrinkles in the gloves, like he was wearing plastic latex gloves. So this is an example of plenty of money, in my opinion, but no imagination, or they just don't care. And I don't think I took a snapshot of the Kling Orc in Discovery, but you all know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing with the Kling Orcs.
Yeah.
It was like a solid mask, no articulation, no emotion.
Yes,
Just,
I think actually the Klingons were in even worse design than this one.
They were. That's why I'm wondering that I didn't. That's just it.
I remember before Discovery even came out, somebody sent a picture. Oh, these are the new Klingons, and I posted, no way, these aren't Klingons. This has to be a new species of lizard aliens.
A lot of people thought it was like from World of Warcraft.
Oh right, of course that works.
Oops.
They're
So
Klingons.
this is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Like here, even though it has a mouth, when you actually watch it, the mouth does not move correctly, and it looks stiff. And there's no
Yeah.
articulation. It looks like basically here's what it is. They don't want to spend a lot of time putting the makeup on the actors. So what they did is it's a mask. They just put a mask on them. They can throw it on, take it off in like 30 minutes or less. And the reason why I bring that up is let's go back to early 80s. So I'm talking about we're going back to the 80s, which is what, 30 years ago or more,
40.
40. Yeah.
right? 40 years ago. Okay, now. I gotta remember what I called it. Here we go. Here's one of my favorite examples of makeup here. Now I'm gonna share this screen here. Of course, I'm kind of skipping over myself because I still wanted to cover the artists.
Well, we can always skip around. No problem there.
All right, here's an example right here. This is the reason why I wanted to bring this up. You guys, has everyone seen the Nightmare on Elm Street movies?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
Okay, this is the character of Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and as you can see, it's makeup. Here's what's interesting: is this makeup was done. It took him hours to put it on, and it had 5 pieces. It was assembled, and the reason why they did that was they wanted to make sure he could articulate, so he could move his mouth and his eyes and his eyebrows and make expressions, everything from fear to scare to laughter. And you can see all the expressions, and you can understand every word he says. It doesn't sound like he's mumbling through a plastic mask.
When you say
This-
5 pieces, what do you mean?
5 appliances, 5 separate latex appliances rather than one
yeah.
solid mask.
Oh,
So it's like
For
they-
a major motion picture.
But this is from the
If he
first
had to
Nightmare on
do
Elm.
26. Yeah. But
This
if he
is
had to
the
do that for 26 separate episodes in a season, that would
He
be
actually,
undoable.
well, actually, no, he actually did it again. If you remember, there was Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, the series. If you remember, there was that lasted for one season, and he wore the makeup for that series as well. But the thing is this picture was taken from the first Nightmare on Elm Street, which is about 1986, 85. And that movie was very low budgeted. Wes Craven had very little money. So it's not like he could spend a lot of money towards the makeup budget. So my point is this is excellent makeup, very articulate. It's 5 separate appliances applied to his face, and each one's attached together with latex. It's not just one solid mask. So it would take him hours to put it on. So because of that, it looks splendid, but yet it did not cost a lot of money. It's just that they cared. He wore that makeup. They eventually, over the different, I think they made 5 or 6 movies, however many they made. As the movies progressed, they made it simpler and simpler for him, where he didn't have to take so long to put the makeup on. But it always stayed as separate appliances. If you see any interviews with him, he'll talk about that. And that's the reason why. They wanted it to look realistic, and they wanted to move with his face. Now,
So they paid with time.
Once you got the base model, it cuts the price and to basically nothing in comparison.
Right. And he wasn't the type of actor who said, I don't want to sit in a chair for hours. Can't you guys just make this fast?
Yeah. But for a situation like that, the investment in a better quality of makeup job so the main character can emote properly, they're going to make the investment in that. For a TV series where most of your alien characters or demon characters are going to be secondary, you're not really going to put that much money into it. Same thing with the Planet of the Apes. They had all that based off of the motion pictures. So when it came to the series, basically everything was pre-made for them. Just follow this copy of what we did.
Right. Now, here's an example of Planet of the Apes from the early, mid-1960s. Kim Hunter is Zira. Now, here's an example that I wanted to compare with Freddy Krueger, because here's another example where it's separate appliances applied to the face, not one solid mask. So that if anybody's ever seen Planet of the Apes movies, the mouths actually do move. Their nose they can scrunch up their noses, and they can actually their eyebrows don't move a lot. But for the makeup back then, and remember, like I said, this is the 1960s. It won an Academy Award, and it was very groundbreaking at the time. Very good detail. And because it was done in appliances, separate appliances. And they were thin, they were not thick. Okay. I'll try to stay on one base here. Sorry, guys. Okay. Now, I'm going to skip back here to this picture here, which is another example of what we were just talking about. And there's Roddy McDowall, and you can see on the left, it's separate appliances piece by piece. So they put a smaller piece on, then another piece, and they attach it with spirit gum, then another piece, and then finally the hair go around it. And that's the only way they can get it to articulate.
I don't think I'd like anybody's ABC gum on my face.
It was just spirit gum. It came off. I mean, it was a little irritating, but it didn't hurt anybody. By the way, Roddy McDowall had his face insured for $1 million for these movies because he was afraid that it was going to damage his face, especially because he signed on with the sequels. So I still remember as a kid, he was on the Hollywood Squares, and it was one of the questions. They said, Roddy McDowall had his face insured for $1 million for the Planet of the Apes makeup. And I remember the contestant said false, and it was actually true. So, but that's another example of appliances in separate pieces, how you can get them to articulate. And this is the 1960s. This is going on 60 years ago, and it still looked great. In my opinion, it looked a lot better than a lot of the current alien makeup now, which has more money and 60 years on them. But
and don't they still use spirit gum today?
They sure do, yes. In fact, you can buy it anywhere.
Hello in the chat to Citizen 333.
Citizen 333, welcome. Good to see you. I'm going to try to keep this in order by age, if I can. I'm not sure if I'm going to have all the ages correct, but I'm going to show my next big influence here. I'm covering now, by the way, everybody, famous makeup artists in Hollywood. And here's another big influence on me, just Tom Savini. I don't know if any of you guys know who that is.
I don't know much about the background of makeup artists.
Tom Savini what's interesting is what he cut his teeth on was the George Romero zombie movies and gore. And then he eventually went on to do the Friday the 13th Freddy movies and all the decapitations and all that. The reason why he was so good, by the way, he has his own. A lot of these artists that I mentioned, like Tom Savini here, he has his own studio that you can actually go and pay and be one of his students, and he'll teach you. And then you can go into Hollywood and get a job. But he did Friday the 13th. He did the movie Creep Show. He did all the George Romero movies. He did the Friday the 13th movies, the Freddy movies. He's one of the big masters with makeup. Excellent man. And he's acted in a few low budget movies, but he's a very nice man. But that's Tom Savini. I want to give him a shout out because he's great. And he's still out there. And like I said, he has a studio that anybody can go and take courses at.
That's awesome that he does that.
It is. I
Right
think it's very
purpose.
cool. And I'm going to bring up another one here. This is another person that kind of cut their teeth with George Romero, who's now went on to better things. By the way, George Romero is the zombie guy, everybody. If you guys don't know, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, and things like that.
Yeah.
Greg Nicotero here. And there he's with some of his work. He started originally with George Romero. He did a lot of zombie makeup, gore. And as you can see, it's really nice. He went on to eventually and he was the original producer and creator of The Walking Dead. But unfortunately, AMC kind of ditched him after the second season, which is terrible because they wanted to go with a cheaper producer. And
He should consider himself lucky to be offloaded from such a disaster.
Well, it is now, yes. So I guess he got
It
out.
was a disaster from day one. So
It was.
he got out quick. It should never have been adapted for television.
Well, of course, they're going to drag it out and turn it into a soap opera. Is pretty much what they did. All right. And now, next artist up here to view. I'll make this fast, everybody. Craig Reardon. Craig Reardon is another one that goes way back. The design on the right is from the movie called Funhouse. So somebody had a hatchet in the face. So he's another one who is very good with alien and makeup design, but a lot of what he did was for the movies. I want to clarify that, not television. All right, and next.
Citizen 333 says, "Take your time. This is cool."
I'm glad you're enjoying it, everybody. I wasn't sure if this was going to be a popular subject or not. I've been wanting to cover it for some time because I'm a big fan. It's like, but hey, better time than never, right? Okay, here's the next one up. Another one I love. Chris Wallace. So as you can see, he's the designer and creator of the Gremlins. So he was excellent with his he was excellent with his mechanical design. I hope I'm not going through these too fast. And I'm going to show an example of one of his creature designs. I'm getting a little bit faster at just going from one to the other. There we go. This is an orangutan he did for the Planet of the Apes movie, the Tim Burton version. And that had an actor in it, and he did a great job. It did articulate. The mouth moved. The eyes moved. All of it. It was an excellent design. What's interesting is that the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie, it was a bad movie. It was not a good movie, but I was a fan because I really loved the Rick Baker makeup. The makeup on the apes I thought was such a great. It was like it was influenced by the 1960s version, but it was like a leap forward in detail because Rick Baker is so good. So next, I'm going to show. Sorry, go ahead, Jill.
Well, I agree completely that the movements and the apes in that movie were moved very well and looked very good.
Absolutely. Rick Baker, the guy who did the makeup, he has been around forever. I'm gonna show the screen, and you guys will see who I'm talking about. All right, share screen and share screen here and window. And this is Rick Baker. Here we go.
Do you know all of those things that he's made in this picture?
I could definitely not tell you all these things he's made in this picture. He's made so many that he makes for private collectors as well. Now, do any of you remember the Guillermo? What's that actor's name? I can't remember his name, but they made a werewolf movie. around the year 2000. It was called Wolf or something like that with Guillermo del Toro or that actor. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I
It
think
was
I know
called.
what you're talking about.
It was a werewolf movie that came out about 2005 or so. It was a huge box office disaster. But here's my point: is this is Rick Baker? This guy with, I mean, he goes back to American Werewolf in London and The Howling. This guy was one of the best in Hollywood. So they were making a werewolf movie in around 2005, and they hired him. He's the best. Halfway through production, they fired him, even though he had all his designs, he had everything ready. He had the, by the way, he makes the werewolf transitions. They're all physical, practical effects done live in front of the camera, and they fired him and they replaced it with CGI. Hence,
Wow, that seems like a theme where you have these really great, wonderful creators who work hard to make these physical objects, and then get fired, and then they get fired just to get replaced with something cheaper. This is the
cheaper.
second time you've brought this up.
Yep. And what's sad is it broke his heart so much he closed his studio. He no longer
Oh,
practices.
no.
Yeah, that kind of really soured him, and I remember it was very heartbreaking. The last thing I saw him do is he did a cameo on that short-lived show called The Strain that was on, I think, Fox, about alien invasion. I saw he played somebody who got attacked and killed. I was like, wow, that's Rick Baker. 'Cause I recognize he has a long hair, by the way, long ponytail. You can't see in that picture. All right, now
Well,
let me see here.
those designs look really neat.
Well,
Very
that
imaginative.
right. Thank you. That's what I was going to say. Very, very imaginative, and there's creativity in there, and they don't all look the same. And now we go to
Hey, Dalek has a question. He says you're broadcasting on Twitter, then all of a sudden you stopped.
I don't know why. Maybe I probably messed up something on Twitter.
And he's asking what happened.
Well,
said,
it's still running on YouTube at least.
Yeah.
well, I wonder if it might be a copyright strike, possibly.
I don't think so. Not for just stills. Anyone who could see them.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the master
YouTube
right
would
here.
hit you before.
This is Stan Winston. He is like the top tier of makeup. As you can see, he did the Terminator, Predator, and Alien. Even though these are Hollywood, he was like the absolute top for mechanical effects. So if they needed a robot or an android, he also did the aliens in Galaxy Quest.
Wait a minute. Who are you talking about now? I missed the name.
And now I'm covering Stan Winston.
Stan Winston, Galaxy Quest. Okay.
I got a
Awesome.
picture. I'll show his picture right now. Oh, you like Galaxy Quest?
Terminator. Well, I love Galaxy Quest. Yes,
Very
that's,
cool. Well, all
that's
right.
one of my. It's in top 10 of my favorite Star Trek movies.
Same here. Okay, and that's him. I'll see if I can get a little closer. That's him working on Jurassic Park. And unfortunately, he passed away just a few years ago, but his studio still exists.
Oh.
And he's got a huge amounts of awards. I've lost count how many awards he had. But he really taught Rick Baker, he taught Chris Wallace, a lot of these other artists that I'm showing you, he taught them. They all went through his studio. So I really should have started with him first when I started covering the modern makeup artists. But that is Stan Winston, who did the makeup on Galaxy Quest.
Well, that's really great when these artists teach other artists that can continue their legacy and continue learning the things that they know, so that the trade isn't completely lost.
Oh, absolutely right. And I'm going to show you a view. I'm trying not to confuse you guys because I'm hopping around the different people.
Oh, I'm definitely confused. Just kidding.
This next one is from Chris Wallace, the guy I showed you a minute ago who did Gremlins. You may remember this from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So he did the famous face melting scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end when they opened up the Ark. So this is not Stan Winston, but this is Chris Wallace who did Gremlins. Among many other things, by the way. That's why I need to stop skipping around. I apologize for that, everybody.
That's fine.
Nicotero, John Chambers. I want to make sure I cover everybody here. Stan Winston, Chris Wallace, Pierce. Oh, of course, I almost forgot this one of my favorites. Here we go. Let me get the view a little larger here. And then now I'm going to share it. Here's another one of my big favorites. This is Rob Bottin. He did The Thing. And as you can see it on the top left corner is the spider head from The Thing. Bottom left is The Fog. And the next to that is Legend with Tim Curry. And to the right of that is the movie was not any good. It's Explorers, but hey. And top right is from Total Recall. So Rob Bottin is another one, a big one in Hollywood, and far unappreciated, very unappreciated. For his work on The Thing, he deserves a lot more than what he got. I'm talking about the original Thing, by the way, no CGI.
Very cool.
But that's basically the artist, which is I wanted to cover that first before I got into the actual TV shows. And everybody in the chat, Dalek451 and Citizen333, and everybody, welcome. I hope I'm not trying to ignore everybody. I just can't see the chat because I'm going back and forth between all these windows.
Yeah, and I hope Son of a Red Shirt's still here. And hello to Dalek and Citizen333, who says, yeah, CGI effects will never be better than actual physical effects.
Yeah. Then hello, Sir Jacob.
Hello, Sir Jacob. Welcome.
Thank you for liking and sharing.
There is a link at the top. If anybody wants to join the panel, anybody and everyone's welcome. So I did post the link. Hopefully I did at the top there. If anybody wants to click on it, you are welcome. And also at the beginning, one of the things I brought up is if anyone out there has any examples they want to suggest of good or bad makeup, feel free to throw it in because that's what we're here for. This is an open discussion. Okay. Now I'm going to go back. Go ahead.
Citizen333 says that he loves the Raiders face melt scene that you went through really quick. He says it's gross, but it was good.
Yeah, it was layers of wax. Another Academy Award winner right there. I can't believe I didn't get my still of American Werewolf in London. Another Academy Award winner. Okay.
Well, one of the what they deemed was the worst episode of Star Trek there, that was actually an Emmy-winning award for makeup there, which was Threshold.
Which Star Trek series?
Voyager.
Oh, Voyager.
Yeah, which that was example is where they spent more money on the makeup design there, but they suffered in the writing.
So it was a bad episode?
Well, yes, this is the episode, the famous episode where Janeway and Tom Paris turn into reptiles and have reptile babies. It is a very, very strange episode about evolution and
yeah, I actually had to defend that episode. That's actually for Defensive Thursdays. That's the first episode I actually had to defend.
Well, if any of you can find any examples of it, please feel free to post them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to learn about the behind the scenes on that.
I would love to see what that looks like. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just sec.
Yeah, did I already make you a moderator, Gorilla? I think I did.
Yeah, I can share my screen directly once I get a hold of it.
Right. If any of you guys have any examples, feel free to post them. Let me know. I can share your screens. Okay, now I'm going to try to keep these in order. I've got several stills I'm going to be covering television now. Television makeup mostly. Good or bad, variety, lack thereof, or good. Who knows?
Yeah. Can I share my screen real quick for Threshold?
How do I do this?
No, I can share it.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Here,
go ahead. If you can do it, go ahead. I'm still learning StreamYards, everybody.
Yep. See, this is one of the makeups when he first started transforming. There. I don't know if you remember this, if it's coming to light now.
Well, me personally, I have not seen the episode, but this is the makeup that won an award, right? An Emmy?
Yeah, here's when it first started transforming.
The progression of it.
Yeah, here's the first when he first started transforming. Then when his hair started turning out, then more and more, then he progressed into this.
Now, I have a question. Did he transform on camera, or was it like, in shots, in different shots?
Different shots.
In shots.
Yeah, it was different shots. It was progressive transformation. It wasn't all instantaneous.
This was kind of like the final phase before he became a lizard. It's not a very good picture.
It doesn't look very original, but maybe there wasn't a lot of competition that year. I don't know.
There's not really a whole lot they can do for originality because they're stuck within certain physical limitations. Everything has to have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head.
Oh, I understand that. I'll be showing some examples of. I know we're limited. We're all limited. We're all bipeds. We have 2 legs, 2 arms, a head, 2 eyes. Right. I understand that. But I'm going to try to cover is how people can take those basics and still add a lot of variety to it. Okay, what I want to do here is I'm going to cover a little bit of classic television here, guys. The reason why is it was like I mentioned earlier. This is what I'm going to be showing is makeup that goes back to the 1950s or 60s, but I think was very well done at the time. Some of it may not, like the first one I'm going to show you is maybe not so. So I am showing you, to be honest, what I think is good or bad. So here we go. Here's my first share. What would be an excellent show, an excellent episode, but makeup maybe not so much. What do you guys think?
You can tell that's an actual mask.
And it looks
I
like it's
believe
a
it.
solid
Clay.
piece. Right. Well, the fact that he never really interacts with the monster and he doesn't talk with it, they didn't bother to design it to articulate. That's why it's
Okay.
a mask they just put on. And they only, obviously, as we all seen, it's only designed to be shown for a few seconds, close up. Most of the time when they show this gremlin on the wing, it's at a distance. So it's a shock value. And especially, like I said, this is the 1950s. So at the time, this really did scare people.
Well, it's the fright through what you can't see. That
Which is-
it was scarier just imagining that there was a monster and that only he could see it.
Which is what current horror movies sorely lack. They don't seem to rely on that anymore. That's you're right about that, Jill. That is what's most. It's the scariest of all is the unknown. Which is why I'm a huge fan over black and white. Black and white over color because I think black and white is scarier because things can hide in the shadows. Okay, now that was Twilight Zone. So
Yes, love the Twilight Zone. Let's
Oh,
just
me-
have a whole Twilight Zone special here.
I could cover Twilight Zone if Bird wasn't already doing
'Cause we
it.
We could also one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes were when those brats were waiting around for their inheritance and they had to wear these masks.
You mean this one?
Yeah, and when they take the masks off, they become those masks.
Right,
Sure,
that's
they
this
get
one.
their inheritance. But
Right, that's the still that I'm showing
nice.
now.
I love that episode. 'Cause,
That's exactly
they
it, right.
definitely deserve it.
There were a bunch of greedy gold diggers waiting for the old man to die. And he says, well, first you have to put this mask on until midnight, and then you can take it off. And at that point, he was dead, and they took the mask off, and they were permanent. Here's a good example, in my opinion, of good makeup. You could tell it's the same makeup, John Chambers, the same makeup who did the gremlin on the wing. These are a little more detailed because it has to be on camera, not through a window. But they don't articulate a lot in the mouth. I mean, they talk a little bit, but
Yeah.
in the episode...
That was the reveal at the
That
end. so
one
that
is
you
from
didn't
the
know.
Eye of the Beholder, isn't it? The one on the right.
On the right
It's
is
the
the
same-
doctor from Eye of the Beholder, yes.
Yeah.
Right, so we're looking at 4
Oh, I
different
got it.
episodes here.
Yeah.
Right.
Have
so
you
we're
ever
looking-
seen Mask?
the movie?
Which one?
Yeah. The one with that guy that had the deformed face that he falls in love with the blind girl.
I have it here. That's going to be one of my examples.
Oh, okay, because I just pulled one up.
All right. I just opened it. Give me a second here. I'm glad you brought that. You brought it up. There we go. Let me share.
Citizen 333 says, so amazing how good the mask making was back then.
It is. That's just it. They took the time and they cared. Here's Eric Stoltz in the movie The Mask, which did win an Academy Award for makeup. And
Sure as hell wasn't going to win it for story.
or looks. But it did. I remember now. I don't know if you guys remember, but Cher actually won an Academy Award for Best Actress in this movie as well. But this was pretty good makeup for Eric Stoltz here. But it was mostly a solid piece. But they did use appliances, and it had good articulation around the mouth. It had to look good on high definition, and it had to last. So that is an example of good makeup that can last with articulation. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad I happen to have a still from that.
Citizen 333 says, so when they're making these masks, what material are they using? I would guess some kind of clay. but I don't know.
Usually it's latex. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
The
how
older
familiar.
ones are clay.
Well, they've been using here's how they've done it. Even back to Jack Pierce with Universal with Boris Karloff. What they did was they poured latex over his entire head. And they made what's called a death mask. They poured latex over his whole head. They take that off. Then you have a hollow representation of his head. Now they turn that into a mold, and then they pour latex inside of it, and then they pull that latex out. It's like a rubber mask, and it looks just like a representation of the art of the actual actor. That's how they did it back then. That's still how they do it now. The only thing that has
Do,
changed is the materials have gotten a little bit more better now.
do they have to cook the latex?
Yes, they have latex now that actually hardens. You can buy it at Amazon. You can buy a gallon for around $45 or $50 makeup latex that you can put on, and it will just solidify. But what they'll do is, example with a lot of artists, is they'll make the death mask, or they'll make the original mold of the head. They'll take that out, then they'll make a solid recreation of that person's head, the face, the ears, the whole thing, and then they'll sculpt onto that. Sculpt however that's how they did Freddy Krueger, for example, for Nightmare on Elm Street. They'll sculpt whatever makeup they want onto that. That way they can spend hours and days and weeks being creative and changing their minds and doing all that because they're only working with the bust.
Yes, I
Once
heard
they
that's what they did with Bortus too.
Bortus as well, right? And then once they get the makeup just right and perfect, they say, okay, it's perfect, it's perfect. They know they can take it right off and put it right on the actor, and it'll fit just fine. So that's how that works, and that's how they've always done it. It's the materials that they've used has changed as far as what they're made out of. For example, latex used to irritate the skin. A lot of people were allergic to it, so they've had advances in that where it doesn't bother people. They've had actors, for example, Buddy Epson, when he was the original Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, they put some aluminum paint on him to look like the Tin Man, and he almost suffocated. It almost killed him. They had to rush him to the hospital, and that's why they had to replace him with another actor because he was ill at the time. So a lot of makeup used to get people sick back in the day, and like I said, it was the studio lights. Sometimes it would catch fire, sometimes it would melt. I just heard pop. Is there somebody here? Dalek 451, welcome. Good to see you, Dalek.
Hey there.
Hey, Dalek.
Hello, Dalek 451. Welcome. How are you doing?
I know Citizen 333 says when they're making these masks, what material they're using, it's latex. They use latex to make the mask, and they use a molding clay to mold. For example, if I have let's say I have exact reproduction of your face, I can mold whatever I want to. I can clay just like an artist. I can mold any shape I want, make it into any kind of creature I want. Once I'm done, then I make a reproduction of that, which will fit perfectly to your face. And that reproduction will be made out of latex because latex is light and it's pliable.
Hey, son of a Richard, I can't tell you because I'm on here, but it might be you there. It could, but because I haven't had problems with YouTube all day.
Yeah, I have pretty fast internet, so I'm not getting the circle of death you're getting. But he just got in,
Oh, sorry to hear that,
and
sir.
and it looks like he's getting some lag.
I got my fingers crossed. This morning here at my house, our internet was actually dropping in and out, so I'm hoping it lasts through this stream.
Me too.
There we go. There's a hello by Dalek, finally.
Sorry. The freaking mic wasn't working. It was I had to actually go into my settings and select it.
That's
Well, it's
okay.
working
Better
now.
late,
We're
yeah,
glad
better
you're
late
here.
than never. Welcome, Dalek. And like I told everybody else, Dalek, if there's any suggestions you want to put in, any disagreements, or if you want to share a screen, let me know. I can make you a moderator. Let me do that. Let me see.
Well, you don't have to do that. I mean,
well, if you want to share your screen, I need to.
Not in the StreamYards.
On the streamers, you don't need to.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. If they're up here, they just share the screen and then it pops up on the bottom for you.
yeah,
Okay, good. Well, now you guys
Yeah.
know. So if there's, you're right. So if there's anything you guys want to share, please feel free to, because that's what I'm here for.
I know for Leonard Nimoy,
Huh.
they only had to make a mold of his ear because they just had to add the ears.
And shave his
Yeah.
eyebrows, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they had bushier eyebrows. The Vulcans had
Oh yes,
more.
of course.
Well,
Yes,
those are
that's
stenciled
what I
on.
meant. I meant the only mold. They didn't have to make a whole mold of his head, just of
Yeah.
his ear.
The
Not
rest of
that.
it was just basic cosmetic stuff.
Yeah,
that
the rest of it was
Juan worked.
makeup and
Oh, it's not
and
here.
eyebrows. And of course, his dad always did his haircuts.
Well, that's always good to know, isn't it?
Yeah, he did.
Hey, one thing we could show is the evolution of the Klingons from the TOS.
I do
To
have that
the-
here. Thank you.
The TOS, then to the TOS movies,
Yeah,
then to TNG DS9.
thank you. Thank you for that little segue. After just
That's a
what I was
good
getting ready
idea.
to cover. Speaking of that, this is the still I was just getting ready to show. We are now going to discuss Star Trek: The Original Series. We all
That's
remember
great. Now
this
we can look at the real Klingons. Oh,
Oh,
Well,
we got the
Orion.
Orions.
right. It's not the Klingon yet. It's not the Klingon yet.
Yeah.
But okay, can everybody see this?
Yes.
yes, we can see the
We can all see it.
Orion.
Okay, I'm a huge fan of Star Trek: The Original Series, but this isn't. I want to be completely open and honest. This is makeup I consider not very original, not very imaginative. It's just a
green
woman
body
with
paint.
makeup, green
This
body
is
paint
green?
with eyeshadow, which is not very creative. And remember, she's supposed to be an alien. So
That's
even with the
okay, it
series, right,
follows.
right, and this is the '60s, and we all know that for TOS they did not have a lot of money. So,
Right.
but I still love it anyway. I still love
Yeah,
TOS.
she's
but-
beautiful.
right, and I still love TOS.
Indeed,
It's just I'm
yes,
willing to
she
show the
is.
good and the bad. Right, I'm willing to cover the good and the bad. You know, I do like the variety. Okay, next I want to cover another one from TOS. Let's see. Here we go. And this speaks of similar to what you were just saying here a moment ago, Jill. Okay, now
the
the
Tellerates had good makeup there in TOS
Oh yes,
for the
I
time.
agree.
and here's the next one.
The
John
Vulcans.
Chambers Vulcan makeup.
Yeah,
Right.
those eyebrows stenciled on are those original eyebrows.
Well, they had to
Well, what
shave
they
it.
do
A
is
little bit.
you don't have to. Well, you could also just put makeup over the original eyebrows, and then draw in the new eyebrows,
Well,
which
the
is
thing
what
is,
they
if
did. Go ahead.
they kept, for example, the inner part of the eyebrow closer, to the inside of the eyes. They kept that, but they shaved the outer part of the eyebrows. And here's the reason why: is they have tried, unless you put latex over the hair is hard to disguise. And for any of you who have seen the original Joker in the Batman series, that was the problem. Is Cesar Romero refused to have his mustache removed, so they put makeup over it, but it was very obvious. So when they did these Vulcans, they did shave their eyebrows and then stenciled in the Vulcan ones. If you see any behind the scenes pictures before they put the makeup on, you'll see that they have no eyebrows. So
Wow.
it's basically the ears and then the rest is makeup. You got you have your eyeliner and they stencil in the eyebrows and a wig, essentially a wig.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
Vulcans have to have black hair, so it's probably a wig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Hey, son of a red shirt,
Wig,
if
hair
you call
dyes,
if you call your internet place there and complain, they'll actually up your speed there. They do that occasionally to people to save money. So if you go and complain, they'll up your speed because they did that to me a couple times.
That's a good recommendation. Thank you for that. Hopefully that can help Son of a Red Shirt. I would love for his internet to work better.
Yeah, just
And of
don't let
course-
them try to talk you into buying a more expensive package.
Yeah, hopefully not.
And
Yeah,
of course,
don't
this
sign any
one's from.
contracts for that shit.
And of
This-
course, from Let That Be Their Last Battlefield, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then,
Go ahead.
yeah. Then I think their foe just had the opposite side
Well,
That's
it
right.
did.
of the space painting.
Right. Right. And the reason why I wanted to bring this episode up is remember now these are aliens, but it does not require a lot because of the plot and the reason it did not require a lot of extensive detail or something really, really alien looking.
Excuse me.
So it's I would say some of the most simple makeup I've seen in Star Trek. It's just simply black on one side, white on the other, or white on one side, black on the other, depending on who you're talking about. So this is an example where you can have weak makeup that's you could say, well, it's not very imaginative. There's no detail. They just slapped it on, but it worked within the episode, the confines
Yep.
of the plot and the story.
Simple makeup for a good simple message.
Right.
It was one of the better third season episodes.
Yeah, despite Burger. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Maybe it's before maybe he wasn't at work that day.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Now here's one of my favorites. And this goes back to and you'll see the reason why I like this one so much is because this is from The Cage, which was the very first Star Trek episode. And I think this is excellent makeup. Very detailed and
Yes,
not cheap at
absolutely.
all. And even when they showed close-up, you could not see where the latex began or the skin began and ended and the latex began.
So wait, are you saying this is good or bad?
Good.
Good.
Okay,
Good.
I thought you said it was unimaginative or something.
No, the last one I was saying is black and white. We're just, so you would think it's unimaginative, but within the confines of the story, it worked.
Yeah.
But here they wanted
Oh,
something
okay.
that looked alien. They wanted something that looked alien, and I think did an excellent job within the confines of a TV budget.
Yeah. Well, it was a pilot, so they had a little bit more. And basically, once you get the headpiece, the rest of it is just layering on the makeup to get rid of the connection.
Well, right, but they even had detail. Remember, they had bladders so that the veins were actually pulsating in the heads, which I thought was a good attention to detail. You didn't see a lot of bladders used back then. They were used a lot more frequently in later Hollywood
Yes.
movies.
Yes, that was incredible. And they also had all of these aliens were also females playing males.
That's correct, right? Because we've all heard that two or three different voices at least that they were dubbed over. All right, now I'll give you another example. Go ahead.
I've got to step away for a moment. I'll be back in a
Go
little
for
bit.
it. Go for it, Jill.
All right.
Now here's another example of I think which is good makeup, which I think is original and it takes imagination, and that is an Andorian. And this is from the TOS. I really like this makeup, even though you would think, well, there's not a lot to it. I actually like it. It's
I
menacing.
like the way they did Shran from Enterprise. I can pull up that picture if you
Yeah.
want to compare the different Andorians.
This
Sure.
is the
If there's that much of a difference
a
in the
lot
design,
more on
yeah,
that.
I'd love to see it. Yeah. Because I was wondering that. I have another still here from an Andorian in DS9. So if you have one from Voyager,
Oh, was
sure,
there
I'll take a look at that.
was there one in this was played by
Jeffrey
everybody's-
Combs.
Combs, everybody's
yeah.
favorite Star Trek. Here,
Oh,
I'm
then
sharing it right now.
Go ahead. Then I
yeah,
do
they put
have
a lot
that.
more detail into Shran than they did any of the others because he has more screen time than any other Andorian
Got it. Yes,
or
Yeah,
all
here-
other Andorians combined.
yes,
Yeah,
I
here-
was. I had one of my stills is of him. I just wasn't sure which series it was from. I thought it was from
He's from
DS9.
Enterprise. No, he's
But,
Enterprise.
Yes, Enterprise. I did like this makeup, even though it was it was basically an updated version, or I guess it's supposed to be an older version of it because it takes place before the TOS. But I did like the makeup, so it was a nice upgrade or change without messing it up, and it still looked good in my opinion. On top
it's
of
the
having
same
a good
species.
actor.
They just had a little. It's just the advance in technology from the '60s, because in the '60s, having the two, whatever they made the antennas out of on top of a wig was as much as they could do, but for early 2000s, that's nothing for them.
Exactly. Now I've not seen this one. I have to ask. I'm curious. Did he play a good guy or a bad guy?
He was
Back and
a
forth.
mixed. He was a mixed bags. He's a mixed
Reoccurring
bag.
character, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He starts out as what you think is the bad guy, but then he turns into kind of a bad guy. He keeps referring to Archer as a pink skin, but he would never say anything to Mayweather. The one.
Oh, that's cool.
he was careful not to interact with anyone but Archer and T'Pol because everyone else in his mind was beneath him. He had talked directly to Archer because he is a fellow ship captain, and T'Pol because she was a ranking officer, and quite frankly, he liked insulting her.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, that's because she was a Vulcan. Like, they're very adversarial to Vulcans, but he's like Archer's the only person he'd ever trust To me, I think they could have done a better job on the Gorn.
That's why I brought this up next. Even though it's great, it's a whole body costume. I give them credit, but it is a costume, and we all saw it. Even as kids, we were like, "Oh, okay." But what's funny is we have one of the top voted and rated best episodes of the original series, a fan favorite amongst most. Yet it's one of the worst creature designs, and we all overlook it because the Gorn is so cool.
And the story, if the story is good enough, the little details like a cheap costume face doesn't really matter.
Yes,
this was a
absolutely.
This was a really good story, so I can forgive the costume.
Right, exactly.
Well, all
This
of
is
it.
one of my favorite Star Trek episodes because of that story of how Kirk chooses life.
Right. So once again, the story overcomes the look of the alien. So it's like, even though people can say, "Well, that alien looks cheap," it doesn't matter. The story overlooked that. This because remember now we're talking about shows that were focused on story at the time. They weren't written on politics or pushing agenda. Okay, so the reason why I'm pointing this out is because this is 1960s TV. Everybody, as you look, 1960s TV creature and alien makeup, and I'm going to be showing a different variety. Okay, so my next picture from the original series.
And
Go
I don't
ahead.
remember the exact story of that, but there was time constraints in creating the Gorn costume, which is why it looks like that. They didn't have as much time as they wanted,
They usually only had 1 week between each episode to work, so that could be
and
the
apparently
reason
they
why.
had they
Yeah,
had
they
even less time. Than
always
that.
have time, and they always have time and money constrictions back then.
Yeah. Hey,
Right.
maybe, hey, son of Richard, maybe try watching it on your phone. Maybe that'll be better.
He's on like a portable device already, like a phone or a tablet. And he said
Oh,
he was on a shared Wi-Fi network, so he doesn't have any control over the speeds.
Yeah, well, I usually watch my YouTube on my phone just because it's a lot easier that way.
And John Kaliko's here as a TOS Vulcan.
No,
And this
that's
is what
that's a Klingon.
a Klingon. Sorry, yeah, Klingon. Duh.
Hmm.
So this is what we were talking about here, Klingons, because you mentioned a few minutes ago how they evolved over the years from the different
Yeah,
series.
from TOS, then the
Right.
movies.
Right.
Because the
So here we
movies,
well, the movies had a larger budget.
yeah,
Right, because you're talking from
That's why they
mid-60s
can make
to
the
79.
Klingons the way they wanted them to be.
yeah, the movies were different than the TOS movies were still different than the TNG DS9 Voyager Klingons.
Correct.
The
right.
TNG Klingons evolved from the Star Trek 6.
Oh, even
Movie.
and even the
Yeah.
TNG War from the beginning, he changed from like season 1 to was it season 3 or
Yeah,
2?
what happened there is that they lost Worf's original head. They
Yes.
lost his original top of his head,
Yeah.
and so they had to make a new one, which I think was great because the newer head looked a lot nicer.
Yeah.
And here we have more Klingons from, I believe, the Trouble with Tribbles.
Yeah, the one right during the bar fight.
And the guy on the left is the same one that played the Squire of Gothos. Am I right?
Squire of Gothos. Was that the
Yeah,
Yeah,
one?
that
the-
looks like him. I
It
didn't
is,
realize
yeah,
that
it
was the
looks like
same. Wow,
It is.
That's cool.
Was
Well,
that
the
Trey?
reason why I just happened to watch the Squire of Gothos just the other night, and that's the only reason why I recognized him. All these years, and I
Yeah,
never
good-
put
good point.
yeah, all these
Neither
years,
did
and I never
I.
put the piece together either. But I just happened to watch the Squire of Gothos the other night. I was like, wait a minute. When I was pulling up these stills, I was like, that's him.
That's another
Yeah.
great episode.
There's a lot of reuse of people. It's just a lot of times they're in the background, so you don't notice it too much, and it's so prevalent you just stop caring.
Yes,
Well,
I know I missed the Andorians, but that was an example. The Jeffrey Hunter who played that Andorian
Jeffrey
on
Combs?
Enterprise.
Combs.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. We
He
were
played
talking
at
about
least
that.
3 different DS9 characters.
I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Combs. But what I was going to say with this one is, and I think the reason why a lot of us didn't put the 2 and 2 together about him being the Squire of Gothos is that's a testament to his acting range. Because he did not act like the same person at all. So that's why none of us noticed, which I think is excellent for that actor. I think it's great credit for him. because his face itself hasn't changed very much. All he has now is just a goatee on. Other than that, he looks the exact same. All right, so there's that one. And let's see if I have the next one here. Oh, here's an example of, like I said, I'm covering good and bad, and I want to be totally honest up front, warts and all. So here we go. I'm sure we all remember this.
Oh, you're bringing that one?
Hey, we're talking makeup. I have to bring this
Yeah,
one
that's
in.
not really. That's Tanner and fake writing on fake language on his face. That doesn't even
Guys.
qualify.
God, even Trump spray tan is better than that.
well, I had to bring it up because once again we're talking about. I wanted to cover good and bad. So this is the original series,
Yeah.
which I'm a
Obviously.
huge fan of, and even I know the original series.
I
had some
watched
bad
this
bits.
episode. I finished watching this episode recently.
I'm surprised these guys haven't made me defend this episode.
But yeah, the makeup was kind of lacking, I guess, in this episode. It's basically somebody with a wig and some makeup on, eyeliner, eyeshadow, whatever it's called. And they just said, okay, go in front of the camera. You're all ready to go. So even though I love the original series, this is an example of maybe it didn't really hold up. And unlike the Gorn, the plot didn't make up for the bad alien design. So they both kind of, I would say, are weak in this one episode. In my opinion, that is. All right, next is
Oh,
I'm trying to get these in order depending on the way I named them. So hoping I get this right. And we were talking about Klingons a minute ago, how they've evolved over the years. And I showed a couple different Klingon designs from the original series. And now we're going to go straight from that to Worf. And here's a comparison shot to, we have the Worf as it was in Next Generation, which I like the makeup of the Klingons in the Next Generation. I thought it was a good upgrade from the original series. But I did not like the one on the shot on the right, the Klingons from Discovery. I think
The
that is
Klingorks?
horrible.
they're Klingorks.
Terrible design. It's
That's
horrible.
Just enough
Those are
design change to
I
not
need-
have to pay the people who worked on the original Klingons.
But
Which would have been Westmore. Right, that
Yeah.
would have been Westmore, right?
no,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Klingons from damn it.
yeah. I got the show difference of the Tellarites too from TOS to Enterprise.
You got that? You want to share it?
Yep, I will here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, all right. So this picture here was the TOS Tellarite in Journey to Babel.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember the creature.
Yeah. Then here's what they evolved to DS9 or not DS9 Enterprise.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's the one that
Yeah.
captured Archer.
Now, since you guys
Good
have
luck.
seen both, and I have not seen this, what is your opinion? Do you guys like this new design?
It makes a lot of sense. Taking the basis of what they had in TOS and making it look not
More realistic.
yeah. Because the eyes on the TOS Tellarite were completely hollowed out, and that
And the mouth barely moved.
Yeah.
They had trouble moving the mouth in the
No,
TOS one.
No
But the-
articulation, yeah.
And then the Enterprise ones they're able to move them a lot easier.
yeah is full just makeup. There was no huge mask covering their faces, just latex silicone parts and makeup. So they had basically full articulation.
Okay.
The
Now I'm
only
going to
thing that
show.
was obscuring them was the massive facial hair.
Okay, I'm going to show some examples of what I think this is makeup I don't like, or at least I'm not a fan, in my opinion, from Deep Space Nine. Not Deep Space Nine. I'm sorry, Babylon 5. This is from Babylon 5, and this is, if anybody was to ask me for an example of bad makeup or lack of imagination, this would be at the top of my list right here, because I think that's wretched would be my word.
They're dressed regally. It's based off of old English and old European designs.
But keep in
That
mind, these are
reflect-
supposed to be aliens from another planet. That's when now keep your feet on the ground.
But their culture is very similar to medieval European.
And I'm not talking about the culture. I'm just talking about the design. And I know they're humanoid. I understand that, but I'm just saying this is an example of makeup that I absolutely loathe. That it looks like spent 5 minutes on. It looks like a cosplay. This looks like people are going to a Halloween party, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. At least they put a skinhead wig on the female. What they did with the guy's hair is, I think, in my opinion, totally ridiculous. But like I said, that's my opinion. Now, next I'm going to show.
It fits a lot better if you get into the lore of the Centauri's culture. But just walking in and looking at it, yeah, it does seem a little ridiculous. But especially considering it's not that far flung into the future, it's like 2257 is when it starts, I
something
believe.
that. Well, yeah, somewhere around there, give or take a few years.
I thought I had a still from there. It is. Oh nope, that's not the one. I thought I had another still from Battlestar. I get these names, so many names fixed up. Babylon 5. Because there's basically an alien there that I really, really didn't like. But I guess
I think you know the name of the alien?
Well, he looks similar to that last picture I showed you of the alien on the left. But I'm not a fan of that show, so I don't know the name of the character. And I thought I had saved it. I'm looking
Londo?
right now. That's it. If any of you have a picture of Mondo you could share, I would appreciate it.
I got it here.
Yeah, please put that up because that's an example of just
they're the exact same
design.
species. He's just older, richer, and has noble blood.
I could tell they were supposed to be the same species. It's like the Ferengi with TNG. It's the design of the entire species I don't like. It doesn't matter who plays what character or whatever. It's the design of the species I don't like. I don't like Ferengi either. I never liked the Ferengi design of them. I know a lot of people do, but I know a lot of people do. But it's just not my thing. I didn't like the design.
I do too, but to be honest, Quark is what really made the Ferengi in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
The actor.
And they're really playing up the
right. That's the makeup that I despise.
Except for the hair and the clothes, that's how the actor really looks.
I hope he doesn't look like that in real life. But it's like they said, we want someone that looks like Napoleon, but we can't have a Napoleon hat, so make his hair shaped like Napoleon. It's totally unimaginative. I don't know. It just totally rubs me the wrong way when it comes to alien makeup design. It just looks like a guy with a bad wig, bad makeup. But like I said, that's my opinion. I know there's a lot of fans of the show. I know it has a huge following. But that makeup, that character is the reason why I never watched the show.
Yeah, but Londo's character makes up for his design way. His character makes up for it more than twice over.
It probably does, but I don't like the design. For me, it's an eyesore. And I don't like looking at it because it does not look like an alien from another planet.
Yeah. See you, Citizen 333. Glad you can make it.
Yeah. See you later,
Thank you,
Citizen.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Sorry, it's a little long-winded.
Yeah, he's got it. Citizen 333 has got to go. See you next time.
Take care. Have a great night, and thanks for stopping by. Okay, so we got that one now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Babylon 5 goes, there's a lot of other races that got most of the attention besides the Centauri. There's a lot of attention paid to the what we would consider now very primitive computer graphics, and a lot of the aliens for the alien sector is where they put a lot of investment in.
Yes.
Now, if you'd compare them to a race like the Narn or even the Drazi are one of the better developed races in Babylon 5. They're just they're lizards and more
I'll
scale.
pull up a picture.
Yeah.
Sure. If you want to share a picture, go for it. Now, are we talking about the characters or the makeup design?
The makeup design.
Gotcha.
I think this is
And
the
then-
right one.
All right. Go ahead and post it up and I'll share it.
Yeah, that's the right one, right?
Yeah, that's Adrazi.
Okay.
Is there good articulation when they move the mouth and everything?
Yeah, not so much on the chin, but on the lips. There's real good articulation.
Okay, well
Normally.
that helps. That helps. As long as they go through the effort to help sell it.
It does vary from actor to actor when they put on the makeup too. Some of them there's a little thicker around the upper lip, and they're pretty good at varying up how each individual looks.
Well, that's good when they give them a variety. Like the Orville will do that. You know, you have Clytus and Bordus and Clyden, but they look different. So even though they're both the same species, for example, they both look different. So you can
Yes,
tell.
because they have lots of different makeup artists, and they're given some degree of freedom to be creative.
Oh yeah, no, I was going to use that as an example later on the Orville. I think they have, for some reason, have a lot more creative freedom than I think Star Trek had. Star Trek, I thought they were very constrained because of one person, but that's my opinion. Now, and this one on the cover is something you guys may not be familiar with, but I am. This is back to 60s sci-fi makeup for a TV show, and I want to show you examples. Like I said, I'm covering good and bad. Oops, and of course I share the wrong window. Bear with me here, you guys. Okay. Zoom in a bit. All right. This is from the series Lost in Space. And this is supposed to be an alien from another planet. And what do you guys think about the makeup?
I think, except for those little curly Q things, she walked in off the street like that.
So would you say this is a lot of creativity and imagination, or no, or lack of?
For the 60s,
60s.
that's you're not getting too much better because, quite frankly, they didn't have the money.
That is
I
true too.
I kind of like how they, how you said it's hard to cover up the old eyebrows.
Yes.
They clearly didn't shave her eyebrows, but they used it as though it was supposed to be that way. They kind of made it into a style.
I think they covered them with glitter or something, or
Mhm.
whatever that is.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can see the line of the original eyebrow, but they're just like, this is supposed to be this way. And here's some springs for your head.
Okay. Springs for your head while we're at it. Just throw a few of these in, yeah. Okay, here. And here's another one from Lost in Space. And Jill, I hope to introduce you to this show one of these days. And Bird, too. He needs to see it. Here's some aliens from Lost in Space, which I think are a little bit better.
These
are
are
aliens-
the original one.
This is the first season of Lost in Space, because the first season was in black and white.
Yeah, I've
So-
only seen the newest movie, like a remake.
Oh,
movie.
no. I'm talking about the original series. Let's
Or
forget about the
remake
movie.
series.
Don't watch
Right.
the Netflix version. That 1998
No.
movie is a lot better than the Netflix version.
Well, the 1998 movie is bad, and the Netflix season, the new Netflix is worse. This is the original series. I'm not going to bring up the new stuff because I don't like it. But in the original Lost in Space, this is the first season. This is makeup I thought was well done. These creatures have no mouths because they speak using telepathy. So I thought that was well done, even though that was the same budget, same makeup guy who did the last lady you just saw with the springs in her hair. So once again, it depends on the episode, I suppose.
Yeah. And with the women back then, they weren't eager to cover up the selling points.
Yeah, actually Star Trek did that too. Even with Klingons, when they were doing women, they used less makeup on them to bring out their beauty.
Of course. I was going to say that, of course, you don't want to make them too ugly, right? 'Cause that's the whole point. The reason why you hired them is you want them to be attractive to the eye. Here's another alien from Lost in Space, which is an example of they probably didn't put a lot of thought or care into it. But hey, it looks unique. I don't know if it's scary or not. And I don't think there's any articulation, if I remember right. I think it was a solid, stiff mask. And this is a show that if
How
you...
did he breathe?
Well, you could tell it was like a mesh. You could tell a material. I don't think he had any problems breathing. My question would be, how did he see through it? But they probably had.
Well, what was
pinholes
the
for eyes.
purpose of that character? It depends on the purpose of the character on whether or not you need articulation. What was the meaning of that that guy?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but if I'm trying to remember, it's by the way, it's been years since I've seen Lost in Space. But I'm trying to remember if that character even spoke. It may not have spoken. I'm thinking that maybe the reason why I didn't have a mouth that was at least visible or moved. But I'd have to watch it again.
Wow, creepy.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
See you soon.
Now here's an excellent example here. John Chambers did makeup. He was working at the time for 20th Century Fox, so he did the makeup for Planet of the Apes, which I shared stills from earlier. So that apes makeup, like I said, once again, won an Academy Award. Those movies came out in the 1960s, which was at the same time Lost in Space, a TV series, was being produced at the 20th Century Fox slot. Same makeup guy, John Chambers. So we're looking at the same makeup guy, but with a TV budget. Here it is. So remember, now we're talking about the exact same makeup guy who did Planet of the Apes, did this. I mean, it looks exactly like the Planet of the Apes, but you can see didn't have nearly the money or the time to spend on it.
He just took the basics from the Planet of the Apes and made alterations to the point where it's okay. We're not going to get yelled at by the Planet of the Apes guys.
Well, they didn't have to get sued. It was all Fox. But here's the way it was. Is John Chambers, by the way, if anybody's seen the original Planet of the Apes, he hired mostly Filipino actors for the background scenes because the main stars who were in close to the screen who played the apes, he gave them a lot of detail, a lot of articulation. Then the further they were back away from the camera, less and less because of the cost of the makeup. So when they then when they showed the crowd scenes of the apes, and you see the apes in the background, a lot of those masks did not articulate. So this was one of those, pretty much. It was like a background mask. It was not one of the foreground masks. And plus, it doesn't have all the appliances and detail that because time. They didn't want to spend the time to put it on. So this is more of a one big solid mask rather than appliances that are applied like I showed you in those original stills. Okay.
And they probably didn't have the time or money to spend to make the articulation.
Oh, absolutely not. You're right about that.
And that's where they had to be creative with the stories. I don't know if that show was any good, but
that episode was very good. That episode was very good. Actually, they're on a prison planet, and that's a prisoner, and they're escaping. It's a funny episode. Lost in Space Lost in Space, the first season was in black and white, and it was taking itself rather seriously as a sci-fi show. And then the Batman show came out and was very, very popular. People liked the comedy and the camp of the Batman show. So Irwin Allen, the producer, said, let's do more of that. So in seasons 2 and 3, Lost in Space, it became color, but it also turned into more campy, funny humor. And that was one of those episodes that was more like funny. So here is another episode of Lost in Space of alien makeup.
That's probably a good idea on Lost in Space's part because they weren't going to compete with shows like The Twilight Zone or Outer Limits or whatever was on at the time.
Well, at the time, I can understand it because they wanted to be as popular as Batman. But looking back on it now, I think that they ruined their own franchise because, I mean, it's not. It could have been
their own franchise.
Well, it could have been Star Trek. If it had taken themselves seriously, we would be talking about it right now. There'd be like all these different Lost in Space movies and TV shows, but
they wouldn't have had a season 2 if they tried to go head to head with other stuff.
Well, at the time, what was funny, right at the time, Lost in Space was out at the exact same time as Star Trek, but it wasn't trying to compete against Star Trek because they thought Star Trek was the inferior show, which of course we all know is wrong. Have any of you guys seen the Lost in Space, the original series? So none of you have?
Yes.
No, but I only seen the new one.
Resolute, you have?
Quite some time ago. They used to broadcast it a lot on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes, Sci-Fi used to cover it. The episodes were an hour, by the way, not a half hour. But here's more aliens from Lost in Space, which I thought a little bit more creativity, not so bad. Kind of cheesy, but it is 60s TV. Looks more like 50s TV, I guess, if it was anything.
It looks like the little guy from the Flintstones.
Yes. And I have to show Stanley Adams, our own favorite Stanley Adams, a.k.a. Cyrano Jones from The Trouble with Tribbles. So let me share this screen. And there we go. If any of you guys remember Trouble Tribbles, I don't know if you do or not.
Yeah, I remember Trouble Tribbles.
Of course, I know Cyrano Jones, but I
Okay.
don't remember him ever being a carrot.
That's absolutely right. This is the episode written by Sobe Martin, was the name of the writer on the show. And when he wrote it and he handed the script to the actors, they went to him and said, "What is this?" And he said, quote, "I didn't have another damned idea in my head." So they land, the Robinsons land on a planet where let me try to explain this here, where the aliens are vegetables. So here we have Stanley Adams playing a human carrot, and he turns Dr. Smith into an actual broccoli. But so here we go with makeup 60s, cheap but funny, because it was Stanley Adams. So if it's the guy who plays Cyrano Jones, you know it's gonna be done with humor. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
a cover.
The
That's why
Star Trek the animated series had an episode written by Walter Koenig where the aliens on the planet were also plants, but not exactly vegetables.
and take it a
Oh, I
little more
think I remember
seriously,
that
probably.
one.
Yeah, it had giant
Not so
Spock.
not so much as a joke, I guess, right?
No, it played, even the animated series cartoon played things straight.
Exactly. And here's my final slide from Lost in Space. And those are supposedly aliens as well. You wouldn't guess the one on the left is the guy in a bird costume, would you?
No.
It just looks
You
like a
gotta
mess
tell me.
of feathers.
Lost in Space and Star Trek, even though people look at them now and say, "Oh, they were cheap," cardboard, props and sets. They were actually, at the time, they were very high budgeted. A lot of them were being canceled because they were too expensive to produce for television. So I know this looks cheap, but it was actually a very expensive show to produce, just like Star Trek. Somebody wants attention. Is Jedi Bill here?
I got Cat and Heat, which for my 50 subscriber stream, I will be giving away a Cat and Heat. You pay for the shipping.
You better do it faster. You're going to have more than one cat.
No, she stays inside.
That's
Okay,
good.
gotcha.
And since you mentioned it, congratulations out there to Jedi Bill for hitting 1K and monetization.
Oh, you
that's
got
right. Yes, he did text me today saying he was being monetized. Lucky
for him.
guy. Here's a makeup I wanted to bring up that I liked, and the reason why it's stark comparison of these two different designs next to each other. And I wanted your opinion on this. These are supposedly Martians.
Okay,
And-
then.
Okay, this is from.
Please. You called those Martians.
I'm not saying this is, in my opinion, these are what Martians are. This is what Martians are in the eye of somebody who wrote about Martians in the 1950s, not through the eyes of somebody in 2022. You see what I'm saying? So this is this is the Martian Chronicles written by Ray Bradbury, and he wrote it in 1958. So imagine from that perspective, this is when back then they thought everything was coming from Mars. So when they finally turned the Martian Chronicles into a made-for-TV movie, this was their rendition of the Martians, and they were actually close to what he described. I think the very first chapter in the book is called "Dark They Were and Golden-Eyed." So the Martians in the book
looks
are
like he's-
described. Go ahead.
He looks like his head's on backwards.
The one on the right or the left?
The one on the right.
Well, here's the reason why I'm showing this picture. Okay, is we find I don't like giving away the movie, but basically on the left is what is eventually revealed as a Martian. They have brown skin and golden eyes, and they have no hair, and they're bald. So that was pretty much easy for the makeup to do. They didn't have to be cheap. No, the robe, that's typical. That's a typical trope they use in all the sci-fi. They always throw them in a robe to show them, makes them look like they're sophisticated, like they're from the future. But it was brown skin with golden eyes. And even though you would think, well, that's not very creative, not very original, that is how it was described in the book. Now, to the right is another Martian, exactly like that one, but that one is in a battle mask. So that's actually a mask that they're wearing.
Oh, and Bradbury was a very famous science fiction author. I think he also write for Star Trek?
He did write for the original series, right? I Sing the Body Electric was one of his episodes, and I will be doing watch parties at the Ray Bradbury Theater. It was on for 6 seasons, and he wrote every single screenplay himself to make sure that they stuck to his stories. So it's highly recommended. But I just wanted to throw that in that here's a makeup that I thought was really well, but didn't cost a lot of money, but I thought was very creative. I especially liked the battle mask on the right hand side. I thought that was really cool, and I haven't seen anything like that since.
That is very informative to know it's a mask and not a face. It's much better as a mask.
Right. That's why I showed the characters side by side. Is when in the movie, in the context of the movie, in linear fashion, we first see the Martian with the mask on, similar to the Tholian web. So when they first introduced the Martian, it was like, oh, what is this? It's got the weird looking face and all this. Then later on, they eventually meet the Martians and find out, no, they look humanoid, and that's just a mask that they wear, to kind of sort of like the Tholian webs. It's to instill fear on their enemies. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense.
Yeah.
That mask was always very creepy in Star Trek until you meet the actual alien who's not so scary.
And it was a good design for the TOS too.
Yes.
Okay, so, and here's an example of the Next Generation makeup. Okay, Michael Westmore. Jill and I kind of discussed this lightly earlier here. I'm going to zoom in first, and then I'm going to share the screen here. I have to mention this. All right, there we go. This, as we all know, is Dr. McCoy. I believe it's Encounter at Farpoint, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah.
And he's 135 years old or so.
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you ask. Because if you ask Life with Matthew, it's Encounter or it's Farpoint and Encounter.
Okay.
That's kind of a joke we got going on other channels.
What is the joke?
Yeah. What's the joke
Matthew
about?
thought the name of the episode was Encounter or Farpoint and Encounter, but the episode is Encounter at Farpoint.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a running joke on a couple other channels.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
They really didn't have to do a lot for McCoy in this one. He was quite old at the time.
That's your opinion.
Not that
but
old, but
I think I was just going to say, oh, by the way, Son of a Red
That's
Shirt.
funny.
Yes, Kurt Russell was in Lost in Space. Yes, he was. He fought Bully Mummy. Yes. And I was going to say I don't like this makeup. I'm not a fan of this makeup. I thought it was
Me neither.
terrible.
But it was wonderful to have McCoy on the episode. But the
Right,
makeup was
That's right.
They needed a tribute.
He was a highlight of the whole episode. I mean, we were all. I remember when the show came on. For all of us TOS fans, we were. I know, looking back now, I think we were foolish, but we were thinking, okay, now let's see cameos from the original cast. Come on. And they were very sparingly. They didn't do it very often, but this was the first one. But I just didn't like the makeup. I thought it was very unflattering. Because if he's
supposed to be 137 years old
in the 23rd century, which
thereabouts.
means he could age differently. But we've had older makeup before. If anyone has ever seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, that's better makeup right there. Even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Grandpa had better makeup, and that was a lower budget and an older movie. That was 1976.
All right, we get the point.
well, yeah. Even
Sorry.
the original series.
It looked very realistic for
Even in the original series, they
Such
had the
budget.
Deadly Years, where the aged makeup looks better too.
Yes, but I don't think they ever got quite that old, right? In the Deadly Years.
No, you're right. They didn't get 137 years old.
yeah.
So they did the
At the
aging
time,
effect
Forrest
in-
Kelly wasn't exactly a spry man.
Well,
in
he
the
was in his
late
80s probably by then. He was in his 80s, but they were still doing the original cast movies though. That was before they
Yeah.
ended that. You guys recognize this alien here?
Yes.
You guys know the actor who's playing this alien here?
I don't
Iggy
remember
Pop.
the actor.
Nick Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I was about to say that. He did a
Right.
cameo as them.
That's right. That's why I had to bring it up. Because not only am I a huge fan of Fleetwood Mac, and I thought it was very cool of him to do this, but I thought it was a good alien design.
Yeah, he's like the only one. He's one of those people though. He could ask to be on the show, and they'll put him on there.
That's exactly
Oh,
what they
didn't-
like the Orville, right?
Didn't he shave his beard for this?
Oh, I didn't. I don't know. And I've never seen him shave his beard. I don't know.
It was a full piece, so I don't think he would have had to.
Yeah,
There
if
was
it was a full
absolutely
piece, he
zero
wouldn't.
articulation.
Now,
The
if I-
mouth didn't move at all. The nothing moved. Is two just solid mask pieces.
I don't
And they
think
only have
they didn't.
3
they didn't
lines
really-
between them.
Right, they didn't really speak. Did they? Didn't they use have like sound effects that for their
Is
voices?
voiced over.
Right.
Is completely voiced over for the two of them, and
Yes,
say they're-
yes, I was
as
correct.
far as moving, there's only like that last scene in the transporter. The rest of the time, it's just a dummy with the little bag and the mask on it.
Yes,
So
that was
they're
one
supposed to
detail
be
that I knew. He did
faceless.
shave his beard for this.
He did.
I just double checked.
Well, then I'll give him credit. He really put the effort in for that. Then another thing for him. Excellent. I'm glad he did that. Didn't that character eventually get eaten?
No,
He turned out to be
No.
the bad guy on the ship.
Yeah, they're terrorists.
Right.
That's right.
The whole
Roxana
episode.
Troy spotted them
they were
out
asleep.
in half a second.
Yeah, they were
Ter-
asleep the whole episode, and then they woke up really hungry. And,
Terrorist fish.
and they they turned out to be the ones who were going to blow everything up. But before we knew they were terrorists, Worf thought that they were very handsome.
Well, they might look good stir fried.
Okay, now in the picture here, is it a design from the TNG? Because I want to show you guys I'm not a complete hater. This is one I do like, the Borg. I thought this was an excellent design. And even though it did come from Michael Westmore, I liked it. So I may not like the Ferengi, but I like the Borg. So it's not like I hated all the designs. It just there were certain ones that just I liked and certain ones that I didn't. And I know it's humanoid and it's just both basically robot parts attached to a human. But I really enjoy the design. And when they show the Borgs and the separate ones and different ones, even though they're supposed to be a collective, there is a variety to the makeup. So I like that, and I do appreciate the Borg.
well, no, they had to have the variety to show their different species
Right.
that were all
That and
assimilated.
they're different use. They're not all the same, like construction drone or
Medic
they're
drone.
all the drones have different purposes.
Right, the Borg are
Different specialized
cyborgs that
purposes.
can infect any species. Almost any.
Okay, now let me zoom in on here's one. Now this is not from the counter PowerPoint. You guys will recognize this is from another episode. But I just don't think Michael Westmore did well with old age makeup. I don't like this either. It looks like she was in a fire.
Oh,
It doesn't look
that's
like
from
old-
the Lantry episode.
Oh,
Amy.
give-
Yeah,
Oh,
Dr.
for crying
Pulaski.
out loud.
Sorry.
and this one has a magic transporter a feature too, as well as having bad makeup, sort of a bad storyline as well.
The transporter, they fixed the whole story by using her original DNA before she was infected. It made sense.
It makes sense. If it makes sense, then anybody can just get into the transporter and get their DNA from when they're 18 and be young again.
Well, yeah, that's true, right? Just keep recycling our bodies, right? Live forever.
So that's what I mean by magic transporter. It's a magic transporter. You can be whatever you want now,
This next
and that's
image,
what. That's
Go
never
ahead.
mind. Go ahead. You can
Well,
go.
I was going to say this next image is not an alien, but it's somebody who mentally is. And this is somebody who claims that they know everything about outer space and aliens and everything on TV. This guy has got to be the biggest crackpot I have ever seen. So if any of you guys have ever seen this guy, don't pay attention to anything he says.
Oh,
He's nothing
God,
but
what
a
channel-
showboat.
God, what channel was I listening to that they debunked they went through all their episodes and debunked them? I can't remember if that was God, who
They
was
they-
that?
Are you saying they debunked this guy's show or this guy debunked a show?
No, they debunked his show.
No,
It was
This guy couldn't
alternate-
debunk anything.
either as alternate history hub or Orange River, like 5 years ago.
Oh no, I'd like to see that because he was like a bag of wind.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Well, he
He was
admitted to
popping
being a
up on every
shyster.
show.
That's why History Channel canceled his show.
wait, I missed it. He admitted it, or what happened?
He basically admitted he was just saying it because History Channel was throwing him money. They kept throwing him money, and he kept making up weirder and weirder stuff because they kept throwing him money.
Well, I'm glad that the truth finally came to light, because I was saying that for years and it was very frustrating. So I'm glad the truth came out in that case. Hopefully, I wish it would all the time. Here's makeup from the next generation that I will share here. I'm sure you guys recognize that species, right?
The pack lead.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. The
we-
dummies.
Yeah. We look for
I
things.
can
Things
stand-
that make us go.
I
What
couldn't
is your
stand-
opinion? What do you guys
I
think
couldn't
about this?
stand these guys.
Oh,
They're
well,
memeable.
here's
They're
my
memeable.
memeable.
Yeah, you can make me. I guess he's only memes with them.
Yeah, but what about somebody who's never seen the show?
They get the gist of it once they see the meme.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of unique.
Well, here's the reason.
Definitely.
Here's the reason why.
They're short bus aliens.
Well, here's the reason why I brought this up, and the reason why I highlighted this character in this design is, I don't watch TNG very often. In fact, I have not watched it in years. I only saw this episode once, but I remember this alien species. Didn't they write them as being dumb?
Yeah, they are dumb.
Very.
Right?
Extremely
over the top
unintelligent,
dumb,
yes.
right? Over the
Yeah.
top dumb, right? Like they shouldn't even be in space, right? It shouldn't even be a spacefaring species, right?
Well, they
Yes, well, what they
explained
do
that
is-
because they
Pretty much.
quote unquote
yeah.
borrowed some ships from people.
They exploit appearing dumb in order to steal from other species and steal their capabilities.
Okay,
And
so my
Piece
question
together,
for you guys,
they have a patchwork ship that's pieced together based on the things that they steal.
okay, my question
They're
for you guys
stupid,
is,
but they're conniving.
okay, my question for you guys is this: when they were creating the characters, when they were writing them, and when they spoke to the makeup guy, Michael Westmore, or his department, do you think they said also make them look stupid? That's my
Yes.
question for you guys.
I think so. I think that's a fair assumption because
That
they do look
that
a
I
bit
don't like. Yeah, that I don't like.
dopey.
That was too much for me. I remember that I didn't like about the episode is they didn't have to make them look over the top stupid.
Well,
But that's
well,
just my
even worse
opinion.
than that is that they had to make the Enterprise, the crew of the Enterprise, also very stupid in order to fall for the villain's stupidity. So that was a fault of the episode as well.
Yeah.
That's why they gave them a huge distraction.
So they made the Enterprise characters act out of character. In other words,
Yes.
They gave them
Yeah.
the huge distraction.
Well, this whole episode
I think
was-
Picard was in danger or something, so no one was thinking about the idiots that they have to save. They're all trying to rush off and save Picard.
Yeah,
Well,
Picard was dying because his heart was malfunctioning.
well, it's the same with Star Trek
his
Five. Remember?
Yeah, his artificial heart.
Remember, it was the same with Star Trek Five. Cybok and 2 or 3 people took over the entire Enterprise, right? So that was another example. The plot had to make everybody suddenly stupid. So I know they've done it before, and they did it after. So much to the detriment
Well,
of
in
Star
that case,
Trek 5.
Cybok had mind control.
But the Enterprise had over 400 crew members. It doesn't matter. He had to be within close range of whoever it is to take over their mind. He didn't, show up on the ship and suddenly took over 400 something people's minds. So it's but it's my opinion. It's just, I think it's a hole in the plot. They had to rush it. But I just thought that's the reason why I brought up this alien, because I thought they intentionally, even though I know the character was written as dumb, but I don't really like that they had to also design the character to look dumb. I think it would have been a little more creative if he would have looked smart or just not so predictable from the outside. But that's an alien opinion.
Yes, I
He had to look
definitely don't know
unassuming.
the behind the scenes on that, but I think it's a very good assumption. But the worst part of this episode was when Geordi actually gave the Pakleds those photon torpedoes. Because even if he disabled them, then someone else. It's likely that they will they might kidnap someone who could fix them. So that was
He
kind of a
didn't give them photon torpedoes. He gave them what looked like photon torpedoes on the screen, but
That's what I thought
just-
should have happened, but no, he actually does give them photon torpedoes. But maybe I'm wrong. I'll go watch it again. You could be right. I hope so. Then, if Jordy gave them fake photon torpedoes, then my biggest concern with that episode is not so bad.
I guess anything to help, right? I don't remember that episode, so I can't comment on that. This is from, help me out, guys, Voyager?
No,
Enterprise.
no,
That's
that's
Enterprise. That's Phlox.
Dr.
Okay.
Phlox. Yes, that's
This is
correct.
this is
I
another
haven't
makeup
seen
design.
much of Enterprise, but even not I know that's from Enterprise.
Okay, I'm just the reason why I brought this one up is because this is a character design I do not like. This is
What's
another
wrong with
example of
Phlox?
this is long after I'm talking about the design of the alien, not the character how it's written. This is like long after they ran out of ideas. It's like, well, just make him like a Klingon, just move the latex in a different place. This is where the series Star Trek in general had advanced to the point where every alien, this is my opinion, most of the aliens, the only variation was latex in a different place, maybe a little bit of tattoo and a different wig. And I just didn't like that. This is where it just seemed like they were sleeping and phoning it in my opinion. But that's my opinion. I just didn't like this design.
Well, at that point, there's not a lot to do. They're trying to keep it within. They can't like have an insectoid or anything because it has to fit within a starship designed for humans.
Oh, I agree with that. But I still think more than just a little bit of latex and tattoos. I just, I don't know. But like I said, now we're talking about. Go ahead, Jill.
You can argue for that it's less creative, but it still follows Gene's directive that the mouth and the eyes still be clear. So
yes,
he could still emote, and he still looked good, I think.
Yes,
but
it did
you
articulate.
could definitely argue for less creativity there.
Yeah, Pop Culture, I sent it to you on Twitter.
Sent me what? Sorry.
That debunking of the ancient aliens or whatever it was.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will check that one out. Now, help me out, guys. Is this also Enterprise?
No.
No, I don't know what that is. Is that the Kelvin timeline?
That is Discovery.
No, that's not Discovery, is it? I don't.
Looks like it.
I apologize, guys. I thought this was from Star Trek. I apologize. Let me take it down.
Looking at the set,
I'd
say that's.
That has to be Kurtzman Trek from the set.
It's definitely the set that gives that away.
It probably is.
You're right, Dalek. That's Discovery. I didn't watch past season 2.
And
it's a little bit better, but
I'm going to show you guys it's still an older TV show, The Outer Limits. And the reason why I want to show this is after you look at it and give me your opinion, I'll tell you the reason why I showed it, because it's actually a very historical design. Historical. Okay, that is from The Outer Limits. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Okay, now as you can see, that's a big entire thing. Like, obviously something that didn't walk for the TV show because of budget, but in the TV show they showed it mostly from the chest up. Now the reason why I brought up this character is it was.
Do you have anything from Doctor Who?
Yeah, you're welcome to share anything you have.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that I'm not having, that I don't include because I didn't think about it. But that's why I invite everybody to bring up whatever they want.
I'll show you guys my favorite alien here after you're done with this one.
Okay, I'll make this fast. The reason why I brought this up is this is the only alien design that was actually censored on television. They thought that it was too much for the audience to see.
Why is that?
They thought it was too scary.
Oh,
What happened was that it premiered it was in different time slots at the time, but I guess it premiered, if you look at the history on this episode, and then the network immediately pulled it. They thought it was too scary. And then that episode did not show up until years later when the series was in syndication. And I thought it was odd because it's like a contradiction. Now we look back and say, well, that just looks like some cheap costume or something. But back then, it was actually enough to panic the censors. And it was just
Let's be fair, it's not too hard to panic those people. They get scared if a woman shows just a little bit too much cleavage.
yeah. All right, here, I'll share mine here.
Go for it.
Everybody gets a little of this alien.
All right. Is that CGI?
Yes.
Isn't that Paul?
Yeah,
Yep.
Paul. I love Paul.
No, I like Paul too, but I think that's CGI.
Oh,
It is.
okay.
It is
Here-
CGI.
Here's
Yes.
something a little more.
It's probate time.
Well, if you want to show that design of Alien, but on a practical scale that looked good, then we should show Close Encounters.
Here's something
because-
a little more practical.
Was ET CGI?
ET
Oh,
was
no.
all practical effects. Carlo Rambaldi, to be exact.
Okay, I'll
Same
look
guy who
that up.
designed the. Yeah,
Okay,
Carlo
can any of you
Rambaldi.
identify this species and television show?
And I cannot. I don't think I've seen it.
1993 Space Precinct 2040. This is a Tran.
Wait, is that a comedy?
No, it's a very cheap sci-fi police show.
What network was it on, or broadcast, or how?
It was
how they-
syndicated in 1993.
Yeah.
I never heard of
popped
it.
up on. It lasted, I think, one season.
Here in the States?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's
Okay, I
on
got
several
the ET
different
picture if
channels
you
that-
want it.
Depending on what market
Well,
you're on.
Well, what's your opinion? Since you saw the show, do you like that makeup design?
It's very unique. The jaw doesn't really have so much expression to it, but the species is mainly telepathic, so it's not overly required.
It says here it was done by Jerry Anderson.
Oh, the guy who
Yeah,
did UFO and Battlestar Space 1999 and
He played-
Thunderbird. Yeah.
He's the star.
What is
That
even-
Alien is the star of the show.
No, Anderson.
Oh, I thought Gary Anderson was the producer. I guess I could be wrong.
No, as I recall, whoever the star is got top billing. I think is Anderson.
You could be right. I haven't seen it.
I know the actor is a relatively big name, and the show got made because of him signing on to it.
Okay, now here's one. I want to see if you guys can tell me.
UFO and Space 1999. Are those the only Jerry Anderson shows you can remember?
No, I think he did Thunderbirds. He did some of those with the marionettes.
Yes, he did.
Which influenced Team America. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
And you guys, now here's an example of what I thought was a good alien design.
Oh yeah, Zan, very good.
Yes,
Sam
This is
from
what I thought.
who?
I think
all
this is.
the
Go ahead.
all the aliens on that show, the Henson team did a very good job with.
That I agree with. I wasn't a big fan of the show, but I appreciated the makeup design and the originality. And that was Farscape, I believe. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And here's another one that I really, really like from that same show. I'm going to try to wrap this up, guys. So I'm going to speed through these pretty quick.
Yeah, Farscape was wonderful. And
Here's
Great-
one that I
great
really
design
like and I
followers.
appreciate is this one.
Oh yeah, not a main character, but
Did the
Very memorable.
did the legs move? The spider legs or whatever? Did they move?
they moved a little bit.
looks
They
almost
just
like a
had a little
Stan-
bit of attention to it.
Yeah, it looks almost like a Stan Winston design, like the aliens from Galaxy Quest. It reminds me of.
All right. Well, if you want, we can end on the one alien everybody recognizes. I shared it.
Hold on, go back.
an alien everyone recognizes. We're about to see.
Oh, the magnificent work of Carlo Rambaldi.
Oh, of course.
There it is, all mechanical. The eyes were designed after Albert Einstein.
For
So
real.
T.
Yes. And yeah, this is created by Carlo Rambaldi. He also designed the makeup effects for the alien creature, the H.R. Giger design. But those the eyes themselves, they were modeled exactly after Albert Einstein. And I
Okay.
like this design as well. I thought E.T. was a great design, even though it was a relatively small budget at the time, $10 million. It was really good and well done.
Yeah, but was that like a lot of money back then?
Not really. Star Wars was 9 million. ET was 10. They weren't expecting it to be as big as it was. In hindsight, they would have went and spent a lot more money on it. But back then, 10 million wasn't a lot.
It was the better for not spending as much.
Right, and we've all seen the movie. It was money well spent. Every dollar is right there on the screen. Nothing wasted, right?
Right.
Which is Spielberg. He was very, very, very efficient.
Oh, there's why it was big, because it had Spielberg's name on it.
Oh yeah, and with that, and with John Williams' music, it's going to be for sure big seller.
And they did a good job of altering the design when he was sick, when he was dying.
Right, where they changed it where he looked more pale and bleak. And here's your all favorite, the Ferengi, and there's Quark.
Good old Quark.
So
yeah,
I'm
Quark, the character overcomes any kind of complaint you might have about the big. And you know what? They played into the big ear thing, and the Ferengi did become sort of a comedic aspect in Star Trek, but they played into the ears by making it an androgynous zone.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, oh, okay. No, that I did not know.
And earlier I was wrong about Space Precinct.
Well, if you watch
Ed Shackelford.
Well, if you watch Star Trek, particularly DS9, they played up that aspect of the Ferengi quite a bit.
Okay, this next one I want to ask you guys about your opinion. I'm asking not about the character of the alien, but your opinion about the makeup.
The
that's
spoonheads.
It's Garrick. I think.
It's pretty.
Yes,
The
that's
makeup-
correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Very
It's
good.
very
The
good
actors-
for.
Andrew Robinson is the
reptilian.
actor.
Hey, what do
Yes.
you think about then what do you think about the founders?
I
The
think he
founders
looks
were
wonderful.
characters. They're CGI.
Oh, were they? Odo wasn't CGI.
When they're in the Great Link, it's all CGI.
No,
The rest of it is.
I was talking about when they're solid.
Obviously, that was CGI. What else could it be?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
true that
that's
Odo
why there's
doesn't
no-
consider himself to be a founder, but any of the creatures that the founders created still think Odo is a founder.
Well, I was
And-
talking about
right.
I was talking about Odo and the female changing.
Yeah.
Yes, Odo
there's
is
nothing
practical
really to it.
effects.
There's nothing really to it. They just smoothed out his face.
Now this is Odo, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
that's Odo.
Yes.
And at
Okay.
first they didn't use as much makeup, and then they just laid it on thicker later on in the series.
And
Yeah.
well,
They're
I
just
didn't-
trying to take away any recognizable facial features.
yeah,
And
I
the
didn't like
reason-
this design
Blank
too
slate as
much.
possible.
The reason for this design is because Odo is supposed to not be very good at creating human faces, human-like faces. And so this is the best he can actually do.
So that's
And-
based on his imagination.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's based on his capabilities as a shapeshifter, which is it's diminished because he's been separated from the link. He's been separated from his family. So he's not
I-
as good at changing.
Gosh, I didn't know that. So was he better at doing other aliens or other species?
Yes, he can do other well, once he finally goes to his home planet and he learns about being a shapeshifter and goes into the Great Link, he's able to change into a bird, and he gets a lot better with the shapeshifting.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. He just keeps the face because they didn't want to
'Cause it's
change the
him.
makeup in first place, and they didn't.
Because it's
Yeah.
distinctive to him.
Everyone knew him.
Gotcha. And I
Exactly,
wanted,
resolute term.
yeah, and as you see, I wanted to remind a shout out to. I did like this design. I like Jeffrey Combs, the actor, but I do like this design for an update for the Andorian.
I agree too. I love the update to the Andorians because they made the antennae move with based on emotion.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that
speaking
would
of
tell me.
thank you, Jill. Speaking of emotion, now guys, try to keep this next one cool. Try not to get upset, but here's an alien design I do not like, but I know everyone's a huge fan of, and that's
I'm
this.
so
Oh,
upset.
boy.
Grr.
I do not like this design at all.
Okay,
'Cause
so
I,
the,
Oh,
I just
come
like
on.
the fact that
Told
the
you.
it's Dax.
I
Told
just
you.
like the fact that the dots go all the way down. I just wish we got to see that the dots went all the way down.
What's wrong with
Oh,
this?
but now I know your true intentions.
You do get to see that when they go to Risa.
You're just
not
nitpicking
fully,
now.
not fully.
Well,
thought-
in the first episode that the Trills show up in TNG, they do have some weird. They do have a design, a classic Westmore design
Yeah,
on his
yeah,
stuff
I'll
on
look
her
here.
forehead. On one of the male
It-
Trills has a design on
Yeah.
his forehead, but
Little
they
bit of
moved it
latex.
because they wanted
switched it out
Jadzia
for
Dax
certain
to
pieces.
be beautiful. It's beautiful. They were like, she's too beautiful to put something on her
That's
forehead.
why, right? That's why I brought
Yeah.
this picture up. Because here's an example of the
They
actress
actually
was more
changed that
important
to
than
be
the
a
the
different
aliens.
problem.
species in Star Trek. It's
Now, my
like
question- My
it's
question
like
to
an
you guys is
AFL
on a
or something like that.
right on a recurring character like this with tattoos. Do they use templates so that every week the makeup, all the spots are in the same place?
Probably.
Okay, because I guess
They
you guys
were
never
very
noticed, right?
particular about the spots. They were particular about them. I do know that they tried to make them the same every time.
Then it was template. That's all I was wondering. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, now
You're welcome.
let's see what else I have here. Oh yeah, here's another one. I'm sorry, guys. Apologies first. Here's a design I was not too happy with.
Oh boy, what now?
All right, this is the only
I
picture
see
I can
you're
find.
already not happy. I haven't showed it yet.
I got the picture of the original.
Oh,
that's
seriously?
Yeah, sorry, I don't like it. No imagination, no creativity, no originality.
It's what?
It's very
fuck-
subtle.
Fuck
There's
you.
nothing wrong
Subtle
with
is one way to
subtle.
put it. Subtle is
Here.
one way to put it. Yes, it is.
Here,
And very
here's-
evolutionarily accurate too.
Yeah, here's
Let's
the
face it,
original.
Evolutionary.
If they're gonna evolve to interact
You
with
don't like the
anything
look
like
of the
humans, they're gonna
Bajorans.
look a lot like humans.
Yeah. Hey, pop culture. I shared the original Trill there. The reason
All
they
right.
changed the design
Wait,
was
are
because
you
they didn't
talking
want to
ab- Are you
cover up.
talking about just Kira or all Bajorans?
That makeup design. I'm not talking about the characters. It's just the makeup design I don't like.
Yeah.
Yes,
This is-
Gorilla. This is the original Trill. You're correct.
Yeah, that's the original Trill. The reason they didn't want to do the forehead ridges there because they didn't want to cover up that who's ever played
Her face, right.
Yeah, they didn't want to cover up her face because
Yes, Terry Farrell.
Yeah,
Terry-
she was the
yeah,
eye
that's it.
candy for DS9.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So they
And,
just
you know,
shifted
maybe-
that to a different species.
It could be the same thing was true for Bajorans, but I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, because they didn't
Well,
want to cover
Bajorans
up
were always that.
Rolarian's.
The
Well, they didn't
Bajorans
want-
always were
Yeah,
always
but-
like that.
But the first Bajoran
Yeah.
scene was Rolarian, and they didn't want to cover up her face probably too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you
And
got
that's
like
a common thing.
back in the 80s, if they had a female character, they didn't want to cover up the face too much unless they're already a pre-established alien race that had a lot of airtime.
And of course, Star Trek has a history of using just mostly human designs for their aliens,
he-
and just with little
Yeah.
changes.
Yes, they do.
Okay, admit this is one. If you say you don't like this one, this is actually one I agree with because this is just
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the
The hair
Kazon
was a bit too
Okay.
much.
they're just rip off Klingons.
No, they're
or Dragon
they're,
Ball Z.
no,
That's
they're
funny 'cause I don't
Klingons
even
you
know
order
what
from Wish. They're
What's that?
Klingons you order from Wish.
From Wish. So I take it you guys don't like that too much, huh?
Very few
The hair
people like
was
the
definitely over
Kazons for
the
any
top.
reason.
Okay. I don't mean
They're
the characters.
poorly-
I don't know.
The
Poorly
Kazon
designed,
were
poorly written.
the Kazon were ridiculous. Both the okay, no, come on, this
That's
really
perfectly
this
fine.
one-
You guys are gonna end up
Look,
wanting to
look.
shoot me by the time the night's over.
What's wrong with
Yeah,
B'Elanna
you-
Torres?
You
No,
couldn't remem- but
I'll say it again. No originality, no creativity. It
Well,
just
she's
looks like
half
another.
Klingon,
she's half
Yeah.
human, you idiots.
Okay.
Hey, don't be insulting
Like I said, it's
here.
an opinion. It's an opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just an opinion here, and
Yeah.
yes, that's true. She was half human. She's half half Klingon, half human.
Yeah, don't be
And
insulting though.
she
about
struggled.
it.
She struggled with her Klingon side, and it was a big part of her character. So basically, they're just taking the TNG Klingon, making it lighter, and
You guys-
as we said earlier,
No one's
bringing
gonna
out the
defend
beauty
that.
of the actress.
You gonna shoot me for
Let's
this
move
one?
on. No one's gonna defend that.
Oh shit! On Neelix all you want.
I don't know. I don't know who this is, but I don't like
I
the
don't know.
makeup.
It's
I like-
Neelix.
I like the design and all that, but I just didn't like the character.
Oh, I
Right.
don't. Oh, I'm talking about just the design. I'm not talking about
He
the
look-
actors or the
The
characters. I'm
design
talking about
looks
the
like he
design.
belongs on a spit being marinated in lemon juice.
Everything from above his forehead all the way back was just a big mold the big latex mold that they put, including the hair and stuff that they patted on top of his forehead and used
It's
makeup.
probably right. The line was probably right above the eyebrows, right?
And actually, the actor who plays Neelix, he had a deviated septum, so that's actually his nose. That his nose is actually that size, so they didn't have to do too much in that department.
So his deviated septum gave it all more of an alien look. All right. I'm trying to make this fast, guys. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It's fine. Yeah. Don't worry.
Okay, so-
You had to hold the pitchforks and the torches just for a minute there now. This is an alien design I do like.
The dinosaurs.
Are they dinosaurs? I don't know if they were reptiles or what, but I do like this
They
design.
they were descended from dinosaurs, I believe.
Yeah, that was the Var. It starts with the V. I can't remember the exact species.
But
Was it
is this from
before or
Voyager?
Yeah,
Yes,
this is from Voyager.
Gotcha. Thank you. But this is a design I do like. So I'm trying to be fair here. I'm just showing you guys what I do and what I don't like. Okay, next here. Now, finally, we're getting on to the last step. We're on. If I can find it here. There.
Yeah, this is fun, Pop Culture Curator. This is a great idea for a stream.
It's definitely controversial.
Hey, that's
Okay.
fun too.
Yes, it is. That always makes things more interesting, doesn't it? Here's from the Orville, which Jill and I have been covering. And this is a design I do like, by the way. I'm going to be a little
I
more biased when
remember
it
that
comes to
one.
the Orville. I really do like the Orville's makeup. They seem to have more variety, in my opinion, than Star Trek did.
I've got to step away for a moment. I'll be right
They
back.
have
Go
a
for it,
little
Jill.
bit more of a budget when it comes to that than compared to the actual Star Trek. You can't compare anything to Kurtzman Trek because, let's face it, chickens with their heads cut off would do a better job than Kurtzman and his idiots.
Well, the thing is here's an example. Like with Star Trek, or talking about Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, they contracted out through Michael Westmore. So that means they're only stuck with one person. So like their designs or not, you're stuck with one person. And if it was me and I was a showrunner, I would say, no, I want the makeup to go out as a competitive, like a bid, like they do construction. I want to see the best ideas come in here and get used. I don't want to have to every week hear, well, I don't want to, every week listen to people telling me, well, this is what we have to settle with because it's coming from the same guy. It should have been a little more competitive. And I do understand there's unions involved.
Yeah,
But
there's
it's just
you can't have competition like
but
that.
you can have
especially back in the
contracts.
80s.
Right, but you can contract them for one season and then say, well, if we like your stuff, we'll contract you again for the next season. But instead, they just kept the same person season after season, series after series after series, to be exact. Okay. Now, I don't have a lot more episodes or a lot more examples. I'm almost done here, guys.
Okay.
Okay. I was trying to keep it right around 2 hours or less. Especially for a lot of you guys, I know it's really late. I know it's late for Jill. It's 2 hours later.
Well,
here.
usually I go over to the virtual pub after I've done the stream, and that's why I do like an hour and a half, but we're good.
All right, here's an example from the Orville Aliens. I love these designs. It's not just, and I'm not talking about the characters, the actors, but I love it. And
Oh, I
I look
remember
at this and I think about
It's okay, but it's been done before.
This is that zoo that Ed and
Yes.
Kelly got stuck in, isn't it?
Yeah.
yes, it was a zoo,
Yes.
but it's a whole head alien. It's not just like a piece of latex on the forehead and a couple tattoos.
Yeah,
And I guess in my opinion, I don't know why, but I'm
it's
getting tired of the wigs. I don't know.
it's detailed, but it's not very original because
No,
the
no, it's
90s,
not completely original.
comes-
No.
yeah, the 90s Outer Limits had something similar.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty
And
sure
Seth was very much influenced by the Outer Limits and
Yeah.
Twilight Zone and Star Trek.
Star Trek had similar aliens too.
Now, I'm going to show this one here because I want to see if any of you are familiar with it. We were talking about Dax a few minutes ago, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Lieutenant
Okay.
Dax.
Now, let's see if you guys can tell me what this is from.
Very nice. Alien Nation.
Yes, it
It's
is.
a good series.
So here's an example of what's the difference between her and Dax, and this is a completely different show.
Dax is better looking.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the actor. I'm not talking about the
Jen-
person under the makeup. I'm talking about the makeup.
This
Jadzia
is
has
just a bald cap.
Jadzia has hair.
Well, yeah, of course they're gonna have, because they wanted her to look more beautiful. They're not gonna show her bald, obviously, right? And they're not gonna do like they did in Persis Kambata for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. But I thought that's another example of why I didn't like Dax, because that was after Alien Nation, and I thought, well, it's just a ripoff of Alien Nation. I mean, almost literally to the T. That's like an Alien Nation makeup, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring this up, is why I didn't like Dax. So there's a little bit of history about why I didn't like, and I'm talking about, like I said, once again, not the actor, not the character, not the species, but the makeup, just the makeup. We can always have a
Just the-
stream later on about about actors and actresses and who's good looking and who's hot, and that's for a later day. I just wanted to cover just makeup and
Okay.
differences in makeup, if that's okay. Now, before I wrap this up, because I know it's already getting a little long in the tooth. Is there any examples that any of you guys want to show, or any ideas you want to throw in here before we end this?
He wanted to do Doctor Who, I believe.
Go for it,
Well,
please do.
I was just asking if, because you were concentrating so much on Star Trek and other old Americans movies and stuff, but you weren't sure.
No, I would love to see examples from Doctor Who. I'm just not familiar with it. Otherwise, I would have included it.
Oh, we're just prejudiced against the British shows. That's all.
No, I love British shows. I'm a big fan of Monty Python and Benny Hill and all that stuff. So if we have a Doctor Who fan here,
Okay, I got
who
you
gives
one.
examples of makeup, I would appreciate that.
Here's an okay alien design. Go and show that one.
Ooh, a rhino. I like that.
The Jadoon, yeah. How'd you like that for design?
Yeah, actually, I do like that. Looks like a rhino.
We got a bunch of them. A lot of them are practical.
No, these are from the recent series, right?
Yeah, this is from
most
2005 and on.
most of them, but some of them are from modern and classic.
Okay.
Maybe
Well, I know some
those
of the
are the-
classic Doctor Who was shot on videotape, right?
Here's
well,
an
yeah.
interesting little sort of mini Klingon potato.
I like
No,
that.
is called a Santar. That's a Santaran.
Yeah, if that's a practical effect in the mouth and everything articulates, I like that design. Almost like a lifelike Humpty Dumpty.
Might like that one.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah, especially with the TV budget, I like that. Are those the eyes on the end of those extensions?
Yeah.
Interesting. I would tie them together.
The Ood.
That is great for a television budget.
Yeah, and even they carry around their brains. That's pretty.
Oh
neat.
no, those are
Oh yeah, they
thinking boxes. Here's something you really like. Not the best
No,
photo of them, but
Does anyone? Yeah, who knows what this is? Who knows what
I
this
always
alien
have-
is?
If it's from Doctor Who, I wouldn't know.
It's called a. It's called.
it's
a,
sort of on.
It's called a
right here.
Zygon.
Zygon.
Yeah, Zygon.
I like the makeup. Now, do you know if with Doctor Who, was it like different departments? Was it like a certain one person doing the makeup? Or like different person for each series? You know how they did it?
And there's a Silurian.
They sort of broke it up because it is made by it is fully controlled by the BBC up until recently,
Right.
until they basically signed over all their responsibilities to Bad Wolf, and Bad Wolf happens to be owned by Sony.
Is that good or bad?
Well,
Well, it's no longer government controlled.
It's usually a good thing,
Well,
hopefully, right?
Well, it was. Well, technically, it was sold to Bad Wolf right before Sony bought Bad Wolf.
Yeah,
If they
but
bought
everybody
it,
hated that
check
newest
it
doctor. What's her name?
Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
See, even I know that. Nobody likes Jodie Whittaker. And I don't even watch the show, and I know that name.
That's not a
There's
great photo.
There was something called called the silence. That there were those things. You completely forget them as soon as you look away from them.
Here's an interesting alien.
There's a weeping angel. But
Now,
these
do you
are
have any? This is all Doctor Who, correct?
yeah,
Yes.
all this everything pretty much
One of
everything here is looking there is Doctor Who.
One of
Yeah.
those look like a pig.
Yeah, there
Interesting, right
was
there, yeah, in the middle.
It is a pig.
there was a pig in.
Well, that is a mask. Obviously, they're not trying to hide that fact.
The thing is, it wasn't an alien. It was an actual pig that had been basically experimented on and you basically and kind of used as a crash test dummy before it got shot.
Interesting.
It was everyone thought it was an alien, but that looked like a pig, but it was an actual pig that had been used to actually fake an alien.
Fascinating. I appreciate that.
And then one of your favorites, Dalek.
Of
And the old
course,
Dalek.
the good old Daleks, of course.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Dalek, isn't that supposed to be a mechanical device, but it's got an alien inside? It's manipulating it or controlling it?
Daleks are essential. That's the mutant creature inside. That's the actual Dalek inside the machine.
So I take it they're very if they're exposed, they're easy to dispatch. Is that right? Is that machine like to protect them?
Yeah, the machines for protection and for battle and it's also for life support.
Oh, so they can't even exist outside of it. Okay, gotcha.
No,
That's
they
because
can't.
the atmosphere.
Normally, a Dalek can't really last long outside the machine.
Gotcha.
They're
If it's an
designed to be
alien,
part
that
of
kinda
the
makes
machine
sense.
and- they're a completely artificial race.
Yeah.
With one purpose in all the universe.
The better word, the best way to describe a Dalek is that they're cyborgs.
Okay.
Now this in my opinion is one of the best looking of makeup effects in all of Doctor Who, because you know who this is?
I don't know who.
It's Davros, the creator of the Daleks.
But he's not. Is he the same species as the alien that is inside the Daleks?
He's
No.
No.
Not quite.
He created them from whole cloth.
From what?
From scratch, basically. He created them from his own existence. They are all his children.
He originally created them from mutated cells taken from his own people. Because Davros isn't
everyone hates.
Ugh. Davros wasn't a Dalek himself, but he was close enough. He's basically the last of what the Daleks used to be.
Gotcha.
I need to step away for a little bit. I'll be back.
Go for it, Jill. I'll be wrapping this up here in a minute.
There's the battle uniform.
Well, that's
It's our trading card.
it's a Sontaran with its helmet on.
So, Dalek, let me ask you this: since you're a fan of Doctor Who and you're familiar with it, me not knowing Doctor Who at all, what's the best season to start watching it? To step in and from the very beginning, or a certain year, or what?
Well, it depends.
You ain't never catching up if you start from the beginning.
Well, I did when I was a kid. When I used to watch the PBS with Monty Python and all that, they used to show Doctor Who, but it was black and white videotape, and that kind of turned me off.
The original episodes from the '60s were all filmed in black and white.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, would you say '70s is when it got better, or what do you think?
It went into color with John Pertwee's first episode in 1970.
Okay. Well, I will check it out. It does sound interesting.
If there's any if you wanted to watch it depends which series you want to jump into, the classic or the modern. If you wanted to go modern, I'd say start from the beginning with Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah,
I will do that.
05.
But if you wanted to go from the classic era, I'd say either start from the beginning, or if you don't want to do that, just jump into it. I'd say start with Tom Baker's era, because he's the best Doctor of them all.
Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Tom Baker. Gotcha. Okay, I appreciate that. And these are banners I was originally planning on showing throughout the stream, and I got too busy, so I apologize for that. Is there anything else anybody wants to add?
Nope, I think I'm good.
I apologize if I upset anybody out there.
You're good. We're all entitled to our opinions, and we're all respectful for the most part.
Well, I know there's designs I like that you guys don't like, and I appreciate that, and I understand it. Yeah. And I do admit that some of this stuff, maybe I'll like it better once I give the shows a chance. So,
and I can just say I apologize for snapping at you, pop culture curator.
No problem, Dalek. That's why I should have put a trigger warning on this stream.
No, I think it mostly wasn't controversial and all that, but yeah, like you said, we're all entitled to our own opinions there. And
I try to be careful. I know a lot of these designs are close to your hearts, and you like them. So I try not to be too controversial.
Well, I think with the Centauri they're like, me and Resolute know more of the backstory of Babylon 5, so we appreciate the Centauri design more than like you would.
Well, right, because you're also adding the background of the alien themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going just based on the makeup design alone, right?
Well, you had this the whole thing with, like, say, with B'Elanna Torres, what, you didn't like her because she didn't look Klingon enough, or?
No, I just didn't. Well, is she the? I'm trying to clarify. Is that the one you said was half human?
Yeah, she's half human.
Yeah.
Klingon.
B'Elanna's half human, half Klingon, half human. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be honest. I didn't know that she was half human, half Klingon. When I saw the character, I just thought, well, it's a Klingon, but like they care less. Like they're caring less and less and less. Is what I thought when I saw it.
There's a perfectly good reason why she looked like so little, like almost un-Klingon, because she's half human. So she didn't have that very many actual Klingon features,
attributes, right? I appreciate you guys for clarifying that for me.
Yeah.
Jill, are you back? Oh, Jill, not back. Somebody has a train, but that would be you. You're near a train. I'm near an airport, so I've been lucky. I haven't had a plane fly.
I'm near road construction right now.
Okay.
There was actually this is very weird, but there was actually an episode of Voyager where B'Elanna actually gets split into her human and Klingon halves. So we have a fully human B'Elanna and a fully Klingon B'Elanna.
So they were two separate, kind of like how Kirk separated into a good and bad. Yeah. There was two separate characters.
Kind of, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they separated her because there's a disease going around called the phage, and they thought that the Klingon parts would be phage.
Oh yeah, the Vidians with their phage. Yeah, because there was this whole plot thread running for like the first two, like first and second seasons, that 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 they were trying to find a cure for this this disease called the phage, and the key to that was in B'Elanna's Klingon blood or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that got completely forgotten by season 3.
Well, I'm sure it's still it's
Explained
whatever.
away if they moved past their space.
Well, I'm sure it still can't be bad as current Trek, so I'll
Not
still give
by
it
a
credit.
mile.
Not by a mile. Good to hear.
No, it's a good episode.
And
Is
Jill, I guess, is gone. Sorry, Jill, if you're out there.
Yeah. I mean, that one episode, I'm not anticipating to be on the episodes I got to defend list.
Well, maybe that's a discussion we can have another time, you guys.
What's that?
Episodes you want to defend and don't want to defend, I guess.
Oh, what I do on Thursday
He
there
does
is,
that.
yeah, I do that on Thursdays. If you come by on Thursdays, you're welcome to come up there. What I do is I give the audience chooses the next week's episodes I defend there, and they give me give me any like bad movie or bad episode there that's not like serialized, then I'll defend it.
So you'll try to find good reason to enjoy it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And welcome back, Jill.
So I've done like
Hello.
Threshold, Code of Honor, Move Along Homes, Way to Eden,
Okay.
and stuff like that.
You're mentioning all the worst episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah,
Right. And he was talking about how he wants to defend them, so I'm like, okay.
Well, Jill,
Yeah.
Controversy is always fun.
Jill,
Yeah.
what I do on Thursdays is I got tired of hearing people bash like episodes like Threshold and all that, and all these other episodes. So I say, just give me any episode and I'll defend it. So that turned into like my Thursday streams there, as I let the audience pick, and then I got to defend the bad episodes or bad movies. Now this Thursday I got to move it to Friday because it's my son's birthday on Thursday, but I got to defend Showgirls 1995, which I've
Ooh.
never seen. Which
Have
I
you ever
was
tried to defend? Have you ever tried to defend the movie called Mac and Me?
never even heard of it.
Oh, that's a challenge for you. I'll have to introduce you to it sometime.
Mac and Me.
Yeah, but imagine the worst possible ripoff of E.T.
Okay, send it to me on Twitter there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why
show
would
up
anybody want to
Thursday.
recreate ET? It's just
Yeah, it's even worse than
Definition
that.
for
Yeah,
disaster.
if you saw Mac and Me, it's even worse than that. The climax of the movie is a hip hop dance at McDonald's. How's that, huh?
Oh fuck!
Sounds like you're looking forward to it already.
Yes. Showgirls first.
Oh, it can't be worse than defending Way to Eden.
It is.
Which one was it I did last week? That one was a real hard one because like
Haven.
yeah, Haven. That one was kind of like a hard one because it wasn't like a terrible episode, but it wasn't good episode. So it's like I didn't know what to say about it, and not many people talk about that episode to know what people are bitching about it.
Well, how about what I'll do is I'll host a watch party of Mac and Me one of these days here, and we can all take shots at it.
Okay. Maybe do that like on Sunday there sometime.
Well, I was thinking today actually. Now that I'm settled in, and like I said, this is my first live stream in at least a couple months. Expect this is my first live stream since I lost my channel when it was deleted. So I'm going to try to schedule a regular day each week. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be Sunday or Monday, but it'll be somewhere around there. I want to try to make it a little earlier for those people that like Bird. I really want him to attend this stream, but I know it's late for him.
yeah,
So-
and also he has his Twilight Zone earlier.
On
Yes,
Sundays.
on
at
Sundays.
1:30 Central.
Which right, and I won't interfere. Well, not only that, though, after that, Bill has his Western theater
Right.
after that. So,
Yeah, I do Craptastic Sunday Night Movies at 7:00.
well, then maybe I'll stick to Mondays for now. Tentatively speaking, I'll
Yeah.
see if that works out. Because Jill
Mondays
has her
are good.
tomorrow morning. Jill has the Orville, and then I'm
Yes,
going to head to
we're-
work. In fact, that's my homework tonight, Jill. I still need to watch those 2 episodes tonight. So I'm
Yeah,
ready
I'm
for
working.
tomorrow.
I'm working on Identity Part 2, and it's really tough because I want to keep it short, but Identity Part 2 is so good. It's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard
that's not going to
to
be
do
easy.
that. No, it's so great.
It is. It definitely makes up for the entire season.
Yes, it does. And so
One
did
that
the last
it,
episode, Identity
it
Part 1.
that does remind me of one question, Jill. And I know that it's not related to this stream, but it's related to the Orville. I want to ask you before I forget. Do you think the Orville is playing too heavy on personal relationships?
For the first few episodes of season
No, I'm saying
2, I
both
think
seasons. If you're looking at both
not
seasons,
not on the first season. The first season had some heavy, good, real science fiction that and the character development was a corollary to that. It melded together really perfectly. I know a lot of people think the second season is better, but that's because of Identity, which builds upon the character development that was done in season 1 for Isaac.
I agree with that. I was thinking that when I was thinking about, wow, how good is Identity? It's because it seemed like for the first half of the entire season, it was all personal development, relationships and developments, and
this is like what I was. It's like what I was saying to Jill on that for the first stream I was on with you on your channel, Jill. I was saying most of season 2 of the Orville. I enjoyed season 1 more than season 2 because, season 2 just felt.
Well, I think what it is that Seth is trying to cram together a whole lot of character development all in those episodes, and what he's going to do, I think, is eventually marry that with the science fiction a little bit more, with a little more balance, and I think that's what we're going to see in the second half of season 2 in our reviews.
I've seen some of the posters for the new season of Orville. Is it the same doctor, or do they replace her?
It should be the same doctor, Dr. Finn,
Yeah.
Penny
Okay.
Gerald.
Definitely.
Then it's the posters. They just made her look off.
I've seen that show. It's definitely the same person.
Good,
Yes.
good. Because the posters. Here's what interesting. I have not seen the trailer because I don't want any spoilers. But I've only seen the posters, like the stills, and it was. I guess it's just the way it looked. I was thinking, oh, that can't be a different actress. So
I
good.
I can't unsee the trailer. I've seen it about 6 times.
Oh, I should, but I'm trying to remain spoiler free.
It's okay. It doesn't really spoil too much.
It really doesn't. No, I don't think so.
All right, then there. Okay, I'll buckling in. I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, a properly done trail will get you interested without spoiling.
Okay, gotcha. Do they? Okay, one little spoiler question: do they show the little boys grown up or no?
They should. I remember seeing a still from Twitter.
But you're saying should, but they're not in the trailers.
It's not. They're not. I didn't. There was one trailer that did show. Marcus and Ty, and they didn't look that different, right? It must have been shot early.
I thought it was a clip from season 2.
Yeah, that's probably that could be. But it was one of the first trailers for season 3.
Okay.
But on Twitter, I saw a picture of Marcus, and he has grown. He's like 18 now, and he's
I'm
grown
sure.
a lot in this picture. So I imagine that he is going to be in the new season, but he was not in the latest trailer.
Well, one thing I noticed too on Internet Movie Database, it's showing. Here's okay. If this makes any sense, it's showing that season 3 is part of the first 2 seasons. Like it's saying that what we're getting is season 3 of the Orville. But why is it called New Horizons? Because I thought when I went to Internet Movie Database, it's going to be a completely different series called New Horizons or Orville New Horizons, but it's not. It's still under the same umbrella as the Orville. So I'm trying to figure out why they call it New Horizons, but maybe that's just because of the time change.
That's because it's jumping from Fox to Hulu. They want it to be distinct, so they can change it later if they want to.
And they also refit the entire bridge. The bridge looks entirely different, as I showed you on my show, I think.
Right, yes. Yeah. The set redesigns, yeah. Maybe they have more budget now. That'd be nice, huh?
From the trailer, it looks like they have a pretty nice budget.
Oh, no complaints here. And apparently, last I read, that trailer has like 7 million views, so that's great.
Yeah. Hey, Jill, you should really get a hold of a guy that goes by the name Mercer Creates. Man, he loves the Orville. We'll talk about that day and night with you.
He's a nice guy. Yeah. Tell him about our stream there. If you see
Mercer
him,
Creates. Okay.
I've seen him on. I used to see him when I used to be on Salty Trekker's channel.
Yeah, I'll send him a link to your channel there.
Yeah, cool. Tell him to join us tomorrow for the Orville if he can.
Okay, actually, I'll send him a message right now.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know my show isn't on at a great time for a lot of people, but
What time
if
is
he
it
can
on?
join us, that'd be wonderful. At noon
Central time.
Central Time. Yes.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's not gonna work for me.
Yeah, it doesn't really work for anybody, but it's the only time that works for me.
I mean that's 6 p.m. here for me.
And I take the time
Oh,
off
that works for
from
you
work.
then, Doug, maybe.
I'm lucky I make my own schedule for work, so I take time off from work. It's worth it to me.
Hmm. Yes, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure any day. I love it. I love the Orville, and I love being able to bounce ideas with somebody else on it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anybody else wants to cover while we're talking? I know it's getting
Oh
late.
yeah,
Still,
yeah,
it's after
right.
10.
Resolute Germ, you have a channel, and so do you. Everybody else here has a channel, so plug your channels, guys.
Please
Starting
do.
with Resolute Germ.
Yeah. Do cartoons on Saturdays, sci-fi on Tuesdays. Watch parties. Hopefully more coming soon.
And I will be there on Saturday as usual. I'll be driving, but I'll be clicking the like.
Very cool. And what
Thank
about you, Gorilla?
Well, let's see. Wednesdays, me and Germ have been watching Beyond Belief for Watch Party. Thursdays, I defend bad episodes or bad movies. The audience gets to pick the next week one there. I kind of try to rotate around people there that are actually in the chat.
All right.
So
That's pretty smart.
it'll be Friday this week because I got I got stuff going on Thursday. But I'll be defending Showgirls 1995, and then on Saturday that one's also maybe we're watching Babylon 5, and then Sunday is Craptastic Sunday Night Movies. We're watching Attack of the Killer Tomato 3.
Good. I'm glad you had a chance to check out those Attack of the Killer Tomato movies.
Yeah. Oh, I think that Sunday is going to turn into a regular thing with that. That's why I nicknamed it Craptastic Sunday Night Movies, or we could just watch bad movies and just sit there and bash them.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, because I could, So I got one day where I defend a show or movie, and then the next day I turn around and bash them.
Dalek, how about you? You want to plug your stream?
Well, I don't read. Damn it! Sorry about that. I don't really have a schedule for stuff on my channel because quite a bit of other stuff takes up my time, so I don't. So
That's understandable.
But I do live streams on my channel whenever I can. I have a few guests on. We have a chat about different things like for example, biggest one of the biggest themes of my channel is Doctor Who because of the so if you want to come to my come to my channel and you can be a guest on my stream or talk in my chat, you can ask me questions about Doctor Who. I'll try and answer those if I can.
Sounds great.
I should send you
but
your
of course,
way.
of course not just. I don't just talk about Doctor Who. I talk about pretty much anything pop culture. I love anime. So if you've got any questions about come on my stream and talk about anime, that'll be great as well. Hopefully. So yeah. So subscribe to my channel to watch my live streams. Watch any live streams I do. You might come on and be a guest if you want, and I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about in pop culture.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm not too familiar with Doctor Who, but I'm always willing to learn. And Jill, anything you want to share with us?
Yes. I also have a channel called Anti-Derivative Jill, and I review the Orville on Tuesdays at noon Central with a pop culture curator here at this channel, and but on my channel. And we review 2 episodes of the Orville until season 3, which is coming up very, very soon, 17 days. And on Friday, I have a more of an open topic show where I just talk about what's interesting to me. And if any guests want to come on, they're welcome. And lately, I've been having Clobby from Clobburn Times channel on.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
it's
a lot of fun.
Tuesday. So you're wait. Are you just reviewing the episode, or are you watching an episode?
Reviewing them. Reviewing. I take screenshots of the episodes, and we talk about what's interesting, what science fiction aspects are interesting, or character, or anything that is fun in the episode. And
Okay, that'll work better for me. I thought it was like a watch party. I can't do watch parties, but I can listen to streams.
yeah, it's
Nope.
just a stream.
Right. It's stills with review.
Do you let people come on or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I
We
let people
encourage it.
come on.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so you might
Especially
have
if
to
you like
get-
the Orville.
So you'll probably end up having a Mercer on.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. So how did you get your name, by the way?
Antiderivative Joe. I chose this name a long time ago when I was a student mathematics in high school. It was the first time I ever liked math was with my calculus teacher, and then I listened to this Vandal song called Anti. It's just a silly song where they say anti everything, and I thought if I were anti, what kind of anti would I be? And I was doing calculus homework, and I picked antiderivative. And it turned out to be prophetic because once I went to college, I became a math tutor.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for posting those links
Yeah,
for me, Jill.
yeah,
I need
thank-
to get my stream elements programmed. My bot.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, my
Okay,
channel name just came from me being an asshole.
Okay.
Hey, that works too.
Whatever
Well-
works exactly.
Well, there's a guy that was that I went on his panel. And he was just sitting there bashing Alex Jones, and Alex Jones just happened to be on the Tipple podcast like a day or so earlier, and they were talking about Ishmael or something like that, and he just started beating his chest, going, "I am a gorilla." So I set my screen name as "I am a gorilla," and I forgot to change that when I went on some other people's channels there, and the nickname just kind of stuck.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's a fun story. Hey, if the gorilla identity works, keep with it.
Right.
Oh yeah,
And my name is what it is by default. I had no choice. So there's that. But if there's anything else anybody wants to input, now's the time. I think I'm going to wrap this up.
Yes,
Alright.
and I would like to thank Son of a Red Shirt for stopping by. He had to leave a few minutes ago.
Yes, I'm sorry I wasn't there to say goodbye, Senator Red Shirt.
Yeah, me too. And
Everybody who came in today, yes.
yes, also Citizen 333 was here earlier. He has a channel too, but he plays music videos until YouTube decides he's not allowed to play any more music. So he has like a
No.
radio show. He's like a DJ
Oh, very
in the middle of
nice.
the night. You might find him.
Yeah, I think Mercer. He said he's heard of your channel, but I think he says I think he'll swing by tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah, that'll be great. We'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
More the merrier.
absolutely. If he'd like to show up, I'd be happy to meet him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a real nice guy.
All right. Well, thank all of you sincerely. This really means a lot for me. All you guys came here and showed up
Yeah.
for tonight because this was my first stream in a long time, and this was a better turnout than I could have possibly imagined.
Yeah,
It
this
really
is
means a
not-
lot.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah,
Yes, you're
glad to
welcome.
be here.
I didn't know what I was going to talk about on my stream anyhow, so this works a lot better.
Well, I'll try to think of topics that are sort of general that everybody can like alien makeup. Not everybody can talk about it, but usually once you bring up the subject, people can start coming up with ideas of things they like and dislike.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm going to start because I need to start making content more on a regular basis. So I'll maybe Monday afternoons, tentatively speaking, I'll start doing some streams after after Birds. Because I know Bird had his bed life today. But I'll do it sometime after Birds.
Yeah.
So, but once again, like I said, it really means a lot for all of you to be here. I really appreciate it. And I think I'm subbed to all your channels.
Yep, you are. To mine, at least.
Anybody who comes to my channel, I sub to theirs because it means a lot to me and I'm willing to pay it back. And for all you out there, if you watch the show, thank you for coming and visiting. And I think I'm jealous. I have the best panel in the world. These people are great. And thank you for bringing the variety and the opinions to the stream. It was overwhelmingly wonderful. And like I can't say enough how much it means to me. So without further ado, have a great night, everybody. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you all soon throughout your different streams and at different times. Take care, everybody.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
And I believe that's the end. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
It still says we're live.
Yeah, we're still rolling.
I said end. And